Hello, everyone. We have all the members here. Everything works, and we're all drinking a little bit. Well, not CatZ, he's working, but the rest of us are drinking the tiniest little bit. We're going to be watching an experiment unfold while also discussing the last year of StarCraft 2. That experiment is feardragon's black tea honey vodka drink.
Yeah, I don't know why you're like saying it like that, because this is something that a friend recommended to me, so I'm trying it because okay. Also, for extra context, is that I think that there's like this elusive search for people who like tea drinks, and it's like, is there an alcoholic tea drink that tastes good? And I haven't really found many that I really like. And this person I trust, who also really likes tea and likes similar teas to me, said that they found the right mixture. So I decided to try it because apparently we're drinking at 10:30 in the morning here. So,
Yeah.
Frickin' ZombieGrub alcoholic again.
I'll have you know it's in
My
the
fault.
afternoon, my time. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
But it's morning for ZombieGrub 2 right now. It is 11:30 in the morning.
11:30. I mean, that's I could have had a Bloody Mary an hour ago.
We are still in the
7:30
AM, man.
EU time, and like most StarCraft revolves around EU anyways. So
there you go.
If anything, we're starting late.
Exactly.
We should probably step it up.
Yeah, we should probably just shoot some of these vodka shots and get really going here. Because I kind of forgot during the Christmas season and all that there used to be a thing yearly where everyone would get a little tipsy and have some fun discussing stuff that happened over the year of StarCraft. So when Nish tweeted at me, I was like, yeah, I thought of it precisely January 2nd. So long past any time that would have been appropriate. But who says there has to be a date specifically for this? It could be whenever, and I chose January 11th. So thank you to everyone who's coming on, and looking forward to having some fun, bringing up some stories and memories, and drinking a little bit. I got myself a 6%, not even, it's a 4.6% alcohol beer. It is a peach tart. It tastes exactly like a peach. It's not, it's like fizzy peach. It's good.
I mean, 4.6 isn't that low for beer, is it? Like that's
low.
that's like on the lower side, but it's still it's not like that's still above a light beer, no?
I don't know if it's above a
4%
light
is
beer.
What
The only thing
is
I've seen
constitutes a
lower
light beer?
in alcohol content is like this Korean drink that like technically is in the alcohol section, and it's like 3.5.
Wait, question.
Light's
Does
4.2.
the light beer actually have less alcohol than a regular beer? I thought it
Or
was
is it just
like the.
caloric?
Yeah, I thought it was just
I thought it was
too.
calories.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay.
Oh, I thought it was the color of it. I didn't even know it was calorie related.
It's possible. It's possible.
I thought like
It's
when
Robbie
people
to
say like
see
a lighter
everything in
beer, I thought they
color.
meant like blondes and stuff like that.
I
blonde is
see.
not a
Well,
light
you can
beer,
definitely
though.
have a dark beer.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
That's
I
true,
mean,
actually,
yeah, I thought it was like
So I
literally
guess
the
in the
opposite
right
of like a dark
context.
beer or
Well,
something.
but those are like pale or like amber, right?
Mhm.
Like it's like amber, blonde,
Yeah.
dark.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you wouldn't say a light beer for, I think, like the official category. I don't know. Some beer
Yeah.
aficionado is going to come in here and be like, at
I'm
my
not an
brewery.
alcoholic like ZombieGrub, so I'll default to her opinions on this.
You can
as
call
the
me an alcoholic.
Resident alcoholic.
You can call me all you want, but you know that I'm not really a big beer drinker.
I know you're not a big beer drinker.
I am a
and
You're the one
connoisseur
drink
of
mixing.
Hard liquor. Yeah, also
you're
Fear
the one
Dragon.
mixing
That's
black
true.
tea
You know,
with,
people
with
who drink
vodka.
hard liquor are typically the ones that are not alcoholics. That's a good point there, ZombieGrub.
No, I said you can call me an alcoholic. I just want to make it very clear. I don't get the beer bloat. Anyway, CatZ has a point. You're the one who's mixing black tea with vodka.
This is true.
I didn't ask for this. Ooh, this is good.
Oh yeah,
All right.
Yeah, I
What's it
approve.
taste like?
That's so surprising.
that is
It-
very surprising. Yeah.
It honestly, I feel like the best way I can describe it is it tastes like black
Vodka.
tea with
It feels kind of
with
like
a
you're
bit
like
of honey,
chewing on
and there's like a little
gunpowder.
bit of a kick at the end.
And
Really?
you're just like, this gunpowder is
So it's
yummy.
like there's like 3 stages for it. There's like the first stage is it just tastes like regular like black tea because I think of like the smell and stuff.
hmm
The second stage is that I feel like the kick a little bit of the vodka. And then the third stage is I like taste like this mixing of the honey and the tea together for like a final kind of like sweeter aftertaste.
I see.
like it.
Interesting. So
I
I,
guess
see.
it's-
I mean, if that was true, I think it would be a likable tea, but I don't believe it. Like you smell it, and then you taste it, sure, like there's some association there that works. But then, like in my mind, tea is not a very strong, like it's not a drink that would overpower something like alcohol, I guess.
Right.
I do have vodka and I do have a cup of tea. So maybe.
It's
I mean,
an
I'm not
experiment.
adding like 4 shots of vodka. To
I
like
see. You
I-
added
it's
very
like
tiny. bit,
a
I
shot of
see.
vodka. Yeah.
Mm.
I see.
I guess it's
Wait,
functionally
so
just
you
a
mixed
hot
it
toddy,
yourself,
right?
Ravi?
Huh?
You mixed it yourself?
Mixologist, right?
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
What do you think he door dashed it?
Oh, sorry. No, Dave, I got my local bartender to come up and mix it in the last 3 minutes when ZombieGrub said we're drinking, and you're like, oh, we're
You
drinking,
mix
and we
it
all just decided to
yourself.
go get a drink.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
yeah, let me just go get my bartender in the other room.
I'm really trying to understand where that question came from. I feel like we're letting him off the hook by not
Well,
just
maybe
letting him
it was like a
answer.
premix because, like, you know,
Yeah.
alcohol stores have premix stuff. You can buy.
Like,
You can buy a
I
lot of
see.
premix stuff now.
A friend of mine got a.
I
it's
was thinking it was actually a constructed drink, and like because you said your friend recommended it, which
Oh,
like
no,
just
no.
to make it
I
got-
yourself.
I got teacup right
feels
here.
Like yeah,
This
yeah,
is
no,
like
I
home
get
brewed.
that now. I get that now.
Yeah,
I didn't see the
see.
teacup.
I
I
don't-
heard I heard they recommended like this monstrosity
Yeah.
of a Frankenstein's monster,
Monstrosity?
and I'm just like, wow, this sounds like your friend doesn't like you very much.
How are we not doing
But-
donation goals where people can donate so much that they give us a random ass drink to try?
Ooh.
Missed opportunity. Damn.
Yeah.
I mean, it's never too late, ZG.
Well, I should.
I mean, it's a little too late.
So I'll probably pass. The next time there's a drunk stream. Anyway, that was a solid 7 minutes of
StarCraft.
Yeah.
StarCraft talk show.
of alcohol talk. It's great. It's a great start. We did start the year 2023 with basically Katowice. I actually don't think there was anything in January. No, there wasn't. So we can get right into Katowice. We got maybe left side makes more sense, or right side makes more sense. You're there. So we got Katowice 2023. We know which one this is. This was a fun one. I don't know about you guys, but I guess my brain has adjusted to like StarCraft years. Because I could have sworn this was like the last year's Katowice, even before we went to 2024. Kept getting confused. But no, it happened in 2023. Oliveira dominated the competition, beat basically every major foe of the other races, of all the races, except Terrell. And won, and it was pretty freaking epic. But feardragon and I were there. Steadfast Beomulf casting the B stream. CatZ was casting with CatZ on the C stream, so we were all technically involved. And any highlights, any moments that you guys remember, and you can include Oliveira winning if that's really what makes you happy. Let's go clockwise. CatZ, starting with you.
For me, it really was Oliveira winning. That is, yeah, I mean, the speech and everything and just the magic of the event. For me, that was definitely it. It's difficult to overshadow that, I guess.
Feardragon.
I feel like I need to like look at this bracket again to remember, because I feel like some of the stuff will come back to me. But I mean, yeah, the easy one is the Oliveira speech, and like literally just the normal man thing.
Yeah.
I just remember like on the
So
flight
good.
home, texting it to like my mom and to my family, and being like, I need to like I need people to know about this touching story that just happened. That was like overwhelming. You can come back to me after I look at the bracket.
Yeah, but you even made a video because that was.
I did make a video, and it's, I think actually not like my highest view video, but it's like one of my higher view videos, because I think so many people
Wow.
were just like, this was like, which is not saying a lot. That's like still 1/100th of like a Loco video, but
It's 11K is still pretty freaking good.
yeah. But yeah, I like love and live for that moment.
Yeah.
I also still just very much enjoyed like the magic of Oliver versus Raynor. That was like, that was magical.
That was sick. Yeah, absolutely. Beomulf.
I got two, and first is Oliveira Clem on Gressfon. I think that was the final game of that series.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm biased because Steadfast and I cast, but that was kind of the first one where we're like, wait a minute here. Something's going on, because Oliveira didn't have the best. He got out, certainly. but he didn't have the best group stage. He was
well,
good.
that
Steadfast
map
made
ended
a
up-
video.
Yeah.
I did make a video. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, everyone's making content
Uh,
about this.
That map actually did end up being the deciding factor of who
Mhm.
made the playoffs between Clem and Oliveira. But yeah, sorry, continue.
That's not the fight I'm thinking. There's a fight on the bottom side where Clem's got a full surround on Oliveira. Just this massive surround on Oliveira. And Oliveira wins the fight anyways because Clem screws up a little bit. Oliveira takes one fight, then the other splits it off really nicely. And we're just like, wait a minute here. Oliveira is starting to really turn it on because he shouldn't have won that game. That was the difference that got him out of the group. And then, Oliveira Rayner. And, if you're going to allow me to be a bit of a fanboy for a minute, ZG, that the game 2 when he lost, but that call with you and feardragon is, top 1 caster calls of the year. And so that, not only the game, but the way it was presented as well was just 10 out of 10. So yeah, those are my 2.
If you go back to that other video, there is like a spot at the very end. It has that fight that Beomulf. It's literally like the army of Clem is fully, or the army of
It's a full
Oliveira is like
360
fully surrounded, and Oliveira just like there literally should be no way for Oliveira to win this fight, and he just keeps fucking jabbing Clem in the eye, and it was like the first time in a very long time at this point that it felt like Clem actually got like outsped, like someone like actually flustered Clem.
Mhm.
It was pretty sick.
Yeah, like he's sitting here, he's down 50 supply, down 30 army supply,
Fully
and
surrounded.
It's just,
Yeah.
this fight is insane. It should not happen the way it did. And I think you give Clem that fight 99 times out of 100, and he probably wins it.
Yeah,
Oliveira just took it perfectly.
But Oliveira is like the grandma that summons the strength to lift like the truck or the car off of a child or something. Oliveira just like was not a normal man at the time.
And that was
I want to see this fight. This is a fight, but it's like,
Yeah, it is. It's just that
I
I
spent,
was
like, a
pausing,
long-
but Steadfast also was pausing.
Yeah, I spent a long time
I
like
see.
breaking down the fight because it like you look at that setup, you look at the supplies, and you're like, there's
Let's
literally
look
no
at it.
way that he can win this. And then
clearly
like,
there is.
well, yeah, but like that's what I mean. Like at this level, considering the level, because this is a 23-minute game where Clem was ahead for like a really, really, really long time.
This is a bit of a throw though by Clem.
Oh.
No, like attacking into his tanks.
It's a throw,
Like
but
that's
it's
a
a
lot
throw
of
that
siege
was.
tanks.
It's a throw that was instigated by
Understandable.
Oliveira, like
I see.
constantly needling him.
Gotcha. That is really
Yeah.
cool.
Mhm.
And that was really the story of Oliveira as well, right? Where he just keeps doing these things over and over again. And it's like, yeah, this shouldn't happen, but it does. And he gets the 1% chance over and over and again in the Rayner series, in the Hero series, in the Maru series. Just like over and over and over again, he's forcing players to make mistakes they wouldn't normally make. He's the wheel of fate is bending towards him.
It's what it felt like with Oliveira Reyna at the very least. Like Oliveira
Mhm.
Hero Marine, I thought was very realistic for him to win, and then
Yeah.
Oliveira Hero was surprisingly Oliveira favored. Same with Oliveira Maru, I suppose. But that obviously was like, I think we all agreed like Destiny was well and truly in his hands after he got over
Yeah.
the hump that was Rayner.
Mm.
He was down 0-2 as well, right, against Rangers.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Steadfast.
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna say something real original here. Oliveira's victory, man, what a crazy thing. But no, it honestly was such a special moment. And there was I made a few videos about IEM Katowice. And obviously there's Fear Dragons, which is really cool, which was made after the fact. But as this speech was happening, because there was no, emotional bring down, like emotional, like stabilizing right after. So I just went live on my own stream and just was like sobbing into the camera for a solid like 45 minutes to maybe like an hour and a half.
You cried?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Are you kidding? This was the most emotional like moment in StarCraft
That's
2's
awesome.
history, I think. I don't think like you can talk about like
I don't know.
Sue stuff and Fruit Dealer, but like this felt like
I don't know.
Given the
Cyril,
context?
2018. That was for me.
yeah,
You know
but
what?
that one
I
wasn't
cried,
like
I cried then.
that one wasn't like
I can understand where you're coming
I
from.
cry
on
every
that,
time.
Cats,
I cry every time.
But I can understand where you're coming from on that being more emotional. But I do not at all think it's like unreasonable if someone said that this is like the most emotional
Yeah.
event for them, because I think there
That's
was
fair.
just like so much behind this that this is like such a unique thing. It's like the same way I would
Yeah.
even just say like Beyond winning that BlizzCon was also just like a very
But
emotional thing.
But Cyril was the first time a non-Korean won like the World Championship since like 20 something years, you know? Like it's
When was the
like,
last
actual
time
love.
someone who had literally like, I think if someone gave a percentage chance of Oliveira winning this event before the
yeah.
event,
Sure,
it
yeah,
would
no,
have been
for sure.
under 0.1%. I don't
Yes.
like there's never been a
I
time
mean,
in history.
his speech was amazing. Like his speech was definitely amazing. Because otherwise, it's just like an anomaly for me. Like the
Oh,
speech
okay.
and the normal man bit, like that's what made it like emotional for me.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That was
Here we
that
go.
was-
There
I
wasn't a
watched
dry
all
eye in the
that.
audience.
That's what got me
You know,
going.
We're
I
gonna
think it was
we're
more
gonna
than
make a
that to me
poll.
though. Okay.
Keep going. keep
Okay,
going.
okay.
I think it was more than that to me. I think like there was a magic even be I remember like before, because I remember the feeling of it before that point, where I think it kind of started with the whole like facing off versus Raynor and stuff, and just the magic of like that comeback. I think even just not even like this things he said in like interviews or anything with Smix, but just the way he was reacting and stuff on stage, I think already created like a bit of an emotional charge around things. I think that the magic of him beating, for example, Maru in a way that wasn't like, Maru's playing really dumb and he's like making really, it's like Maru's playing really well and everyone's just looking at it like, wait, Oliver is keeping up. Like Oliver's doing this in macro games. He's doing like,
Yeah.
he's not just cheesing him out or something. He's actually winning. I think there was a lot of emotional investment beyond just the interview.
And it's one
Yeah.
of those things as well. Like you look at Cyril win, and this is not taking anything against Cyril, but he's gonna pump his fist maybe.
He cried. He cried.
Yeah, he shed a manly tear.
He shed a manly tear, which is a lot for
for
Cyril.
Cyril. But like you look at what Oliveira was doing. I mean, he was every single game he won, he was popping off on the entire weekend. Like there was
Yeah.
a significant
I mean,
difference in like
yeah.
an emotional display coming out of Oliveira that weekend compared to what we're used to seeing out of StarCraft players in general.
Yeah, for sure. That's true. I think it's just different, right? Because like Oliveira is almost like he should be getting pumped after these wins because he shouldn't be getting them, right? Like realistically, he lucked out like big time, right? Like he is a very 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 strong player. But like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Does anyone like we run this event again? Like a bunch of times, he doesn't win very often, right? Like he has a right to be excited for these wins. Like
But I mean, yeah, but like you're saying, he lucked out as though like something.
No.
It was,
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't completely like he played. He
No,
played
he
excellent on
earned that
day.
shit. He just happened to be lucky to channel like Goku mode, like Super Saiyan Giga Chad mode.
I see.
I think also what you
I
said,
see.
Katz, like you're not wrong. It is different, for example, than the Cyril thing. But I think it's more so I don't disagree that the Cyril winning BlizzCon was like possibly one of the most like important and emotional moments also. And I don't blame anyone that's like, I think that was like more emotional. Like I'm like, I totally get that. But I also understand like it's appealing, like you said, it's different. It's appealing to a different thing. And for some people that resonates more.
Yeah.
Like the idea
No,
of
I get that. Yeah.
even if it's like not a consistent thing, and I agree, like I don't think anyone disagrees that if you play out that tournament like 100 times, Oliver does not win many of them. I think originally before that event, I would have said I don't think Oliver wins any of them, but
Which
like
is awesome,
it's still
yeah.
magical that it happened.
When he
It
was
is.
going
It
to
is
the
super
playoffs,
magical. Yeah.
That's
When it was
why
the round
it's
of
so
12.
magical, is that it truly was a Cinderella story.
It was.
Yeah. But in regards to like what made it, so special, and like what my special event was, because everyone else was either CatZ. Well, CatZ, you were at home, but you were like doing the thing with CatZ. The rest of you guys were all at the event, and obviously, when you're at an event, it's like a very different thing. So I was like, yeah, I'll like pop onto the stream. It was like super emotional there. Like it was really, it felt really special, and just kind of like this transcendental moment almost, where like that couple of months where everyone was playing Pokemon Go and it felt like peace on earth was there for just a little bit. Like I got that feeling again, which is like a really special thing, and it was just really nice to be able to enjoy that with, I don't know, a few hundred members of the community. And it was like a really awesome moment. So I ended up posting that one to YouTube. Speaking of like videos, which was, it did okay. It got like, I don't know, like 1,300 views, but someone from the Chinese community picked it up and was like, American commentator Steadfast cries about this thing. And it got like over 200,000 views on Bilibili. And I was like, oh,
Now, if
I have
only that had
conflicting
gone onto
emotions
my
about this.
actual
Like,
YouTube video.
Sorry?
Now, if only that had gone onto my actual YouTube video.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can see I'm like, I'm absolutely losing it right here. Like it was such a damn special moment. Like it really felt like something that will never happen again in SC2 or maybe in like all of esports. Like I feel like there's a few times it's happened like in any sport ever. Like that was like what was it? Was it Leicester or Chris? Yeah, Leicester that won Premier League with like 5,000 to 1 odds. Like 15 or 10 years ago. I don't know how long ago it was, but like the truly impossible moments. And
You'd
like
be surprised, yeah.
Yeah, no, but it's such a rare thing, and it makes it that much more extra special. Greece 2004 European Cup, sure. What was that one hockey game that America won once and they made a movie about it, Miracle?
Mighty Ducks?
Yeah, Mighty Ducks.
Miracle on Ice?
No. It's literally just called Miracle, but it's the Miracle on Ice. It's like the 1972 team.
Mm.
There's like there's just
Cool
so
Runners?
many like little snippets.
Cool
The
running.
what?
Is it Cool Runners? I don't know.
Well, that's not hockey, but I mean, like, yeah, that's
bobsled team.
that's
I
a
have
fun
no
one.
idea.
It's called a
I-
miracle. He's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes,
But like there's just so many little moments like that, and this felt like one of those like, reality kind of bent and shifted to let this player win. And I don't want to undercut 1970. Oh yeah, 1972 is the Summer Series, Canada versus Russia. Paul
This is-
Henderson.
the
God, you're
best.
such a sports nerd.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna
Oh,
go with. I think
Henderson.
the best underdog
Yeah, okay,
story
but-
is truly Balto. I suggest everyone watch the animated classic film Balto, and then you'll understand how powerful of an emotion Oliveira
So-
winning was.
I do want to bring this up though. Like, not only was Oliveira the underdog because he had literally never won an individual premier event leading up to this. Not only was he the underdog because he barely qualified through. After he didn't win a single map at Atlanta, he was retiring. He was saying he was quitting, and his dad was like, "No, one more shot. Go change." Like he changes his name, totally changes his prep schedule, practices with literally everyone in the top 12. So he didn't have hidden builds. He had practice with everyone. So like it wasn't just this guy is doing the impossible because he's not as good as Cyril and Raynor, and he's channeling the best version of himself for one day. But there's that whole backstory as well of, the father's undying support, and we're gonna give it one last try. I'm changing everything up here just to give myself this one opportunity. And
It is a beautiful story.
Yeah.
And metaphorically represented by Blizzard shutting down the Chinese servers
That's
true.
like a month before.
That was the other thing too, is it felt like he did it for the Chinese fans. That was like an additional layer to it that made it like, we're obviously talking all about it, but like it really was even bigger than we're stating. Like
No, for
it
sure.
actually
No,
can't be
yeah.
overstated.
And on that front, like the Chinese scene, I think since has also picked up quite a bit. Yeah. So
WTL would have
Firefly.
almost
and that
certainly
happens.
shut down.
Yeah. And that happens with. But in the same vein, like Cyril's win is very similar in the same vein. It like gave hope to everyone that wasn't Korean for the last 20 many years.
Yeah.
For me, like that was emotional because I had been competing since Brood War, and we never beat Koreans. And I say we because it's like everyone's trying together at that point, because it's just like the gap was just so big for so long that the catharsis of Cyril winning, like to me, was extremely emotional. Like I was on the arena, I cried like a lot, and like people were just wilding, and the arena was like super full. So yeah, like for me, it's like it's two different things. Like in a vacuum, I think Oliveira's speech and and his story in a vacuum as a human being isolated, from everything else, maybe more emotional. But yeah, just breaking a cycle that long, I think was pretty cool too.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's disagreeing, but it was 5 years ago.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Recency bias is a thing. Yeah.
Only boomers remember
well,
that happening.
Yeah, I
True.
certainly didn't cry or get close to when Sarah won, but it was obviously like you felt the entire esports scene acknowledge it, and Oliveira was like the next time we got close to it anyway, because I don't think it had quite the same impact, but as far as like random esports personalities from other games and whatnot coming back and being like, oh my god, Sarah won. You didn't quite have that with Oliveira, but you got kind of close. The Chinese fans actually are like
Chinese, big.
completely invigorated after that. So for my story of the year, I suppose it is Oliveira, because he also gave the most interesting games. So I feel like we got to actually get excited about it. Whereas the only other interesting thing that happened, I feel like, at Katowice, I mean, there's a couple of good games to be fair, like Rainer Astray and stuff. But then like all I can think of is Ragnarok Serral. And I just, I was literally in the green room and I was like, okay, he's got it. And then he tapped out and I was like, no! I literally screamed in the green room, no. Because I thought Serral not making it was going to make it such a lame finals or semifinals, and it did. Mara Ragnarok. Did anyone remember that was actually a thing? No. Everyone was like, there's the other side of the bracket? What? Huh? No? Yeah, me and Pig had the unfortunate job of doing that one. But Oliveira winning was obviously very cool. Yeah, a lot of credit for the hype casting of that particular series, but then I got a lot of credit with the Chinese fans for doing the 100 thing on the scorecard. To the point where like I've had more people literally try and come up to me than ever before when they don't speak English to try and communicate to this. Like they'll email me asking for an interview or just to say like thank you. Or like on YouTube comments they were leaving like thank yous in Google translated English. Some guy in Korea was really adorably wrong, but he had the spirit, where he was like, he like kept looking at me and I knew he recognized me. And he was like, you take TV? And I was like, no. And I was so confused. And I don't know how, but he knew exactly what he wanted to thank me for, because eventually he got through on communication wise. He was like, Oliveira, 100. And I was like, oh yeah, that was me. But he thought I was German. He thought I was like part of the Home Story Cup Take TV crew. So it was funny. And then people came up to me in Atlanta, and once again were thanking me for that moment. And when I said I was casting Oliveira, they were like, "Oh, that makes the most sense. Yeah, nice." So, I mean, I was extremely fortunate. I was a fan of him, but apparently that clip got like sent around the Chinese scene, and people were like,
"Can we see it?
She's the only one that believes." And I was like, well, I was kind of maybe kind of joking a little bit. The clip, it's kind of hard to find because they don't include the desk panels in the YouTube VODs, so you'd have to go to the Twitch VODs.
I see.
Yeah.
Was that right before the finals of Katowice? Was that before the Mario series? Or?
Yeah, it was before the Mario series. Like they do
it might
label.
Be there if you search like top clips for the year,
here we go.
The
they actually. So they've cleaned up their VODs a little bit, which I'm thankful for. But
speak of the devil, we talked about Mario and Ragnarok as the semifinal that we all forgot about.
Yeah.
You know what's playing on the ESL SC2 Twitch?
Oh my god, really?
Yeah.
I just skipped right past it.
That's awesome.
Oh my gosh.
That's cool.
My favorite thing about ESL VODs is watching Twitch chat and people being like, oh man, what an awesome series, to like absolutely no response whatsoever because it's it's a rerun from 7 months ago or whatever.
Yeah.
People being like, is this live? Like, no.
I've thought so hard about ways that I can mess with the people that watch those VODs. Like to just like create auto reaction bots that are just like, yeah, right. Didn't you love this moment? And like literally just insert like a random timestamp of like, dude, that like the time at like 7:34 when he like did something, that was great micro.
I think you would do that. Just chat GPT it, right?
Nice. I know, but it just seemed like such wholesome and vulnerable people that look like they'd be so much fun to mess with.
that took a
look at
turn.
it. Yeah, right. It's all like wholesome and stuff, and we're like, let's make it to the people that are stupid enough to believe this is live.
It's like, I don't know if you remember, ZombieGrub, there was a time where I convinced someone in your channel when I think you were really busy in a ladder game, and I think you got at me like, dude, stop talking to Ravi, like he's messing with you. Because I convinced one of your chatters that I truly, earnestly believe from the bottom of my heart that Slayer's Boxer was a League of Legends pro player before he was a StarCraft pro.
Oh my god, I don't remember that at all.
And this person was so upset trying to like explain to me the history of Slayer's Boxer. Oh,
That would have
Fear
been
Dragon.
life.
Of all the things you've done, I think that's the worst.
Here, I actually wanted to. I've been meaning to make this meme on Twitter. A thing. Have people make up, stories about what I'm doing here. But this is the perfect time to bring out this image. That's that I feel like really just encapsulates the.
I like how Ravi is
dynamic.
slightly leaning away from you. Like he senses the radiation and he's just like, I shouldn't get too close.
Is this one of those things where we need to go and, like there's the people on Reddit, they're like, look at the red line of the torso. This clearly means some incel bullshit.
Yeah.
The body language.
No. That would mean it's more so because he's leaning away. So it's like he's what is that? What's more than an alpha
Sigma.
male? A sigma male.
There we go.
Yeah.
I'm leaning away because I've been conditioned to know that if I know her enough, there'll be some retribution.
I haven't hit you. You're making it sound like I push you down the stairs and you're like,
Yeah,
I just slipped.
She hasn't hit me, guys.
Jesus Christ.
These bruises, they've always been there.
Oh my god. I'm
That's
pretty
what-
sure
no,
we've
see-
never gotten in any physical altercation because you want to all the time. You always ask me to bring like boxing gloves and stuff so that we can try to fight each other.
I mean,
Yeah, because I just
CatZ
want
has
a
been
fighting
doing-
chance for once.
Jesus.
I wear long sleeve things because it hides the bruises.
Oh,
my
god.
God.
All right, moving on.
And it's demonetized on
Yep,
YouTube.
yep,
Perfect.
yep.
Bye-bye.
I made
I
an
didn't say
appropriate
any
joke.
words that were demonetizable.
Anyway, so yeah, Oliveira winning. Pretty good.
I actually did want to. I had something that was not Oliveira, which I'm like remembering now. One was Spirit. Actually, I remember Spirit like in the playoff stages for that day. Like he super popped off, and he had some incredible, like really long and actually very fun and cool games. I remember all of us being like pretty pumped about how he ended up like beating Zhao, and he ended up beating. Was it? I think he also had like a good series versus Coffee, Haas. Okay, these don't look as impressive.
Oh,
but I
no,
remember
no,
us
no,
being excited about
36.
But versus Cure, Spirit
Yes,
versus Cure was really
yes.
awesome.
Oh yeah, he almost won versus Cure. He had like a really sick series there. I remember that.
Yeah.
And being excited. The other thing for me that is a very personal thing for me is just I think this is like Neeb's final event. So
True.
Mm.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed even though Neeb didn't do like super duper hot at this event, I enjoyed just like hanging out with him and talking with him.
His gameplay was really good, and I think he beat Dark in group stage. Like, he 2-0'd him. He was the same thing. He was one map away from making it into playoffs. Like,
Yeah, if he had literally won one more map versus I think it was literally Oliveira or something.
yeah.
Oh no, sorry. Yeah, if he had 2-0'd Oliveira instead of 2-1'd, Oliveira wouldn't have advanced and Neeb would have advanced. So I remember
I
being
think-
very torn about that.
You want to talk about that? Can we talk about a special goes like what was he 4-0 or something? Going into the final round and somehow still doesn't make it because of just this really or he was 3-0 going into the final day of groups and just really specific things means that he doesn't qualify.
Oh, he lost a map.
Yeah, he was the only person that didn't advance with a winning record.
Mhm.
Yep. And
So-
multiple
which, yeah,
multiple people.
takes a lot.
Or no, not multiple. One person advanced with a losing record from a different group. Oliveira.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just imagine special advances. He wins Katowice last year.
Jeez. I also I thought we're
What would the speech be like?
very,
He's-
very different.
He's so distracted because he's playing Pokemon. Literally,
He
doesn't
changes.
even pay
It's his
attention.
opportunity to say he's changing his name again.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So I wanted to point out that like Clem had a terrible Katowice. And now that we're done with the year 2023, this actually was kind of a bookend, which is neat. That he does pretty much as terribly as possible at Katowice. Not as terrible as possible, but close to it. And then wins Atlanta at the end of the year. That's pretty cool.
Very cool.
That was neat.
Bookending the year with foreigner Terrans winning really big tournaments.
It is about time a Terran won something, you know?
Yeah,
think...
We don't win enough. Just saying.
Wait, ZombieGrub, you're taking credit for this?
Yes, I'm taking credit for all the Terran victories. I
This is your
kept
fault.
pointing out that a Terran had not won IEM Katowice unless you count Polt, which we didn't because that was a region-locked Katowice. And the more that I pointed it out over the last 3 years, the more likely it was that Destiny was going to intervene and be like, shut the fuck up. And it did so much so it gave us 2 Terrans in the finals. Just to ensure that I would never have to bring that point up again.
I
Nice.
can't believe
You're welcome.
Zombie Grub almost tried to rally the community against the Cyclone, and we wouldn't have had Clem winning without the Cyclone. Those TVTs, those Cyclone win games are pretty important for his win. I cannot believe Zombie Grub almost denied us a Clem victory.
He would have won without the Cyclones. Don't worry. He was baller before the Cyclone meta too, so it's fine.
That's true.
I'm never gonna
I,
give
for
credit to
one,
any
love
Cyclone.
the Cyclones. I
Really
love
though?
nothing more than casting multiple TVTs with ZombieGrub with just Cyclones.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Every single time it went into like a Cyclone versus Cyclone game at Atlanta, I was just cackling in the green room because Zombie Grub was on it for every single one of them.
I mean, I volunteered. I volunteered
know.
as tribute.
You were a hero for that.
Y'all would have
were a
messed it
hero
up,
for that.
honestly. Anyway.
Honestly.
But no, we'll get to Atlanta at the very end because it was the very end of the year. But anything else Katowice wise? You guys weren't around, but you know we're gonna tell some stories as well as discuss the actual tournament. feardragon and I were around at Katowice for the travel day. So like before rehearsal day, we get in on a travel day, and we literally drank the hotel out of shot glasses. Not me and feardragon together, but the
Just
caster
her.
crew.
Just Zombie Grub.
The caster crew. Sans Tasteless. And if Tasteless was there, I mean,
Oh, wow.
whew.
Oh, in Colaris's oh my
Yes.
god, yes. Okay. I
Yeah.
was like, I don't remember this.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't, right? But
I was
no,
gonna say that sounds like there's a reason for that.
we
I think
all
it's Pokemon cards.
go to dinner at the hotel because it's just convenient. And everyone, like Colaris and Wardy and Roddy, they all get up to leave to go fucking do Pokemon cards. And I'm with I'm with the rest of the guys, and I'm like, you know, I don't know what I want to do right now. And then Natalia, so Colaris's girlfriend, was like, well, how about we have some more drinks? She's really fun. And so we were like, yeah, let's get some more drinks. But then we decided to go up to Colaris's room because Natalia was like, you know, didn't care about, you know, them having their private Pokemon time. So we were like, yeah. And then like literally everyone else goes up to Colaris's room without a direct invite, I'm pretty sure, from Colaris. He might have said like it was okay, but he has this nice big hotel room, you know, the big baller Colaris. And so they have their own little table to do their Pokemon cards, and they drink less because they're doing their Pokemon card thing. But oh my goodness.
Initially, they drink less.
Oh, everyone. Oh boy. They literally had to come upstairs and be like, can we have some of the shot glasses back? Because we're out of them. That's, I forget how much we guessed, but like 80 shots or something. Across like 7 people, to be fair, or 8 people, but
It's a lot.
still was a
All
lot.
of our tongues were very blue.
Yeah, they were all kamikazes. We did try Mad Dog shots, I believe they're called. Because I kept on asking, you know, what is a, you know, a Polish drink? What's a Polish drink? And she was like, well, I guess this is and that is. And not really, but the Mad Dog drink, do not advise. It's Tabasco sauce with vodka.
Ooh.
Do not drink that one.
It tastes bad, or is what's the issue?
It really depends on which part of the drink hits your tongue. Because the first one I tried, it was almost all Tabasco. And I was like, okay, so it's Tabasco sauce. I get it. The next time I tried it, it was vodka followed by Tabasco sauce. And I was like, bleh!
I see.
Yeah. We're doing it again this time. Nice. I'm ready. I was surprisingly okay the next day. Like, not great, but I was okay. So that and Artosis was there away from his family, and all you guys should know that Artosis is a real baller. He has some fun times, which I had never actually gotten to see before, because every time I would see him in Korea, he'd have to go home after GSL because he lived like an hour and a half away.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
That's
The
a
story
lot.
of Artosis every single time I've hung out with him before, outside of literally that night, was Dan literally just being, all right, 10 p.m. guys, I had my like quarter of a beer. Time to head home. Good to see you guys. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, bye, Dan.
Exactly. But that was the funnest time. I would say. I got kind of a little sick. So every one of my cast, or not every one of my casts, but from Friday on, no, I think Thursday as well. I was actually like, my voice was super hoarse. I had a sore throat the entire time. And you can actually hear it in my cast of like Hero vs. Cyril when they were doing the micro war prism. Because I literally like ran out of voice. So that was
during that moment. It was wild. That moment was.
it
Wild.
was, but it wasn't because I was so exhausted from the cast. It was because my voice literally just gave out. So Pig had to take over. So that was fun. That was interesting. What else happened? It was the only time I really feel like I saw the green room entirely enthralled in a match. Was Maru versus Oliveira as well. Like everyone leaning forward and then reacting really strongly to when something cool happens. I got a little clip on my Instagram of the green room when that happened. That was good.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was really fun. I guess that's all the stories I have. I always do like a post-event stream where I try and remember all the stories that I can tell. But it's been a long time, so yeah, if there's nothing else, we can move on to the next big tournament, which was, we'll go over, I guess, all of the tournaments, premier tournaments. So there was World Team League 2022. I don't think that was, no offense to WTL, but there's usually not a lot to talk about. I know recently there was, but I'm not sure there's really a lot of exciting stuff here.
No, this time, this time, Oliveira did the Clem thing. Oliveira was on CatZ Gaming. He doesn't quite do it as well as Clem did this last week, but he wins Katowice, and then you have this WTL playoffs, and he takes CatZ from round 1 all the way to the finals. And he doesn't win the finals again. He's not quite all killing Basilisk like Clem did, but he put on, for like another couple weeks, he maintained that Katowice form and was just killing everyone.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. It's just, I don't want to disrespect the World Team League. Plenty of money on the line as well. It's hard to track across which stream is actually doing it. And obviously there's no crowd. So that is cool.
All the Chinese fans that ZombieGrub saw autographed and stuff at all these events that were super thankful for her being so nice to Oliveira. They're all like ripping up her autograph now. Like, I cannot believe she's disrespected the Chinese scene like this. Absolutely demolishing the World Team League.
It's hard to follow and there's no crowd.
How dare you?
That's what I get. Okay.
It is important to note that Basilisk did not exist at this point, so there was no Cyril. And Raynor was also on Dragon CatZ Gaming, but Oliveira still had a sick run. Like he played really well. It's just we should frame it as it wasn't even close to what Clem just did. Like, but it was still really good, but it still wasn't even close. Like what Clem did was historic. But yeah, that's all.
Yeah,
I think what was sick about it specifically is that it also kind of gave a little bit of hope. Like Oliveira popped off at Katowice and also still doing well for a little bit, which was cool to see.
True.
Yeah.
Then we had GSL, which was the made fun of 4 Terrans in the round of 4, and Maru's 6th GSL victory. This might have been his 6th.
Was that the really depressing finals
last year? So I think it was 5 and 6 this year.
Maybe it was his 5th. Okay. No, I don't think it was depressing.
No.
Kier put up a fight.
Yeah,
Kier put up a really good fight.
Yeah,
he was. Yeah.
So, but
it was depressing for Kier fans.
Yes, true. Kier is always the bridesmaid. So, yeah, the GSL, I think, I don't know. For me, in the year 2023, and this isn't a happy thing, so I don't know. Maybe it's not in theme, but the year 2023 actually kind of cemented it for me as a regional, not the GSL. It was already a little less hype in 2022, but I think the returns offline helped at some point. I don't remember when, but this one I cared less and less about Maru's streak of GSL victories. His 4 in a row, I think, still should be applauded and written in the stone and whatever. But then his 5th and 6th, I was like, okay. And then guessing that he would get a 7th as well, even though he actually bombed out of the most recent GSL.
What is it?
Like,
is it the prize pool?
Okay.
Is it the prize pool? Is it the level of competition?
Everything. Yeah. The lack of new blood, the level of competition up until, I would say, the semifinals seems, really hit or miss, even among some of the best players. The prize pool, the lack of tastosis, honestly, State does a wonderful job. It's just
great, but perceptually it feels like an end of an era also when Artosis leaves,
Yes, that as well. I think a lot of people would even, like in the history books, kind of point to that. They'd be like, GSL was already faltering and then Artosis left and that was the end of it. And then it's like, well, if you were there, that's not exactly it, but, close enough. So that's
that putting it on YouTube with like the border around to try to push you to a Afrika. So it's most Western viewers, it's a inferior viewing experience now.
They also had format changes and stuff this year, right?
Yeah.
This is the year that they did format changes and
significantly
it was even
number of players,
even fewer days and stuff. Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And they put semis and finals on the same day, which was like the antithesis of GSL because the whole thing is everyone's always like, preparation-based tournaments are a completely different ballgame. And it's like, yes, you're right about that. GSL is no longer one of those.
You don't have...
Not for the finals,
Not for the finals,
really have that
which is like...
all,
which is like what makes it specifically special, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like more so than... Is there any tournament now that has even remotely that? Like it's still GSL is probably the closest, but there's no tournament where
WTL?
The finals is on one day. No, I would argue that that's WTL. It doesn't even apply because you're going to have, in fact, in WTL, it's probably a lot worse because you have one team that gets to sit there and wait. And then you have another team that has to kill 5 other teams. And despite it being a fucking playoffs MVP, they give it to the guy who went 2-2. God,
I heard about that.
Talk about that later.
That's
fucking insane.
Later in the show.
If we even
28-6.
technically can, it's 2024, but we'll bend the rules a little. All right. So then we have I'm sorry, I actually technically am out of oh no, there it is. Okay, so Masters Summer. I don't know why that's interesting. Europe is labeled as a
it's because of the definition for a premier event
is prize pool?
on Liquipedia based around prize pool.
Okay.
That's one of the key metrics, and Europe meets the criteria for it, but Americas doesn't meet the criteria.
Yeah.
Neither does Asia's.
Asia. Okay, well, so we'll just skip that. Sarah won. That's great. But Summer, Yangshiping, as I always will refer to them as the city name.
I think the only thing I think is maybe fun or interesting to bring up is
Max Packs?
that was the first time I think. I may be wrong on this. That was the first time Max Pax made top 4 and got and created a drama around him. Like he finally did what everyone was expecting was eventually going to happen, which is qualifying for this seed and then being like, not going.
Hadn't he done that before, but just did it at the last one in seed?
I may be misremembering, so you may totally be right. I have to check.
He might have turned down Katowice 2022.
Yes.
Katowice is Katowice is different. I think.
That one, 9 players turned it down. A couple of them had visa issues. A couple of them, didn't get their booster. There was so many reasons why people couldn't make it, and that's the one where Ryung with 45 EPT points from coming 3rd place in a qualifying match in one of the GSLs, the most random thing ever, had the sickest run in context. It was so sick. He ended up making round of 12 out of nowhere. It was fucking crazy.
also want to say like that particular one of qualifying for that Katowice, it's different because in that situation it was based on points anyways.
Yes.
And qualifying based on points, it's very easy to be like, you turned it down, go to the next person. This was like the weird drama of everyone who got knocked out by max packs on the way there. There's now like this weird situation of would they have made it further if max packs wasn't playing?
Mm-hmm.
And if you happen to just have gotten max packs in the round of 8 versus like the round of 16 or something, you get the opportunity. And then it created like this weird situation where like then they had to do this point break tiebreaker thing and have these like special matches and stuff that was like not in the rules, but all the players agreed to it. But yeah, it was just, I just remember it being like a very tense situation.
It was.
Lambo made a video about it, I think.
Yeah, Lambo got screwed over, I think, the most because I think by like the rules that it quote unquote should have gone by, Lambo should have had it. But
By
I
the
think
stated
because
rules,
but somebody got, I think it was Coliseum got 2 points at like a certain time after it should have closed, or it was a really, really weird specific case where I think Lambo was just like, okay, fine. And like he didn't make a huge stink about it. But like obviously many players in history would have made a huge stink about it.
No, it was just that he thought it was the fair thing to do.
No, honestly, it's Lambo is just a
by
really
the
good
rules.
guy.
Yeah, but by the rules, he should have gotten.
Yes, he should have just gotten the spot. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Mm. This was also the year in which they announced the year of 2023, right after Katowice, because we were uncertain what was going to happen, and then what we thought was going to happen didn't. So they announced that it was less tournaments and consolidated formats. So we talked a lot, on this talk show about how now missing out on a tournament or missing out on a regional is devastating for your entire year.
That's so weird. I wish that someone had brought that up when the rulebook got announced and they announced the changes. That would have been really cool if someone could have foreseen that would be the case with how they've set up all the point systems.
Well, now it's even weirder though, right? Because we were like, oh shit, well then there's only 2 tournaments, and then if you miss one, you're fucking screwed if you're going to Global Final Katowice. But then they announced just a couple of months ago that Katowice is no longer the Global Finals, and now we have Dallas and then something else is the Global Finals. So did we correct the ship by like flipping it from being upside down to right side up again?
No, I think now there's, in my opinion, and I don't even want to say like I blame anyone for this one because I'm guessing, I don't know the full details on this, but like even just thinking about it, I'm speculating and thinking, yeah, I'm probably right about this. They didn't necessarily know at the beginning of this year that Katowice was not going to be the global final.
Oh yeah, of course.
So like, I understand. I don't think it's unreasonable that they extended everything out and stuff, but like, I think it's worse because the underlying problem is like if your goal is trying to qualify for this global finals, like the time period in which you're screwed over before there's like a reset is now even further elongated. So if it was like a year where I missed one event, now like all these other events, it's going to be harder for me because my seating is going to be worse, and I may just not even be able to play in these events, and it's just like everything becomes harder. So qualifying for your regionals becomes harder because your seating is worse. So then qualifying for your regionals because it's now harder means that you don't get to go for the events because if like there's not enough spots for the open bracket signups, there's like that's a problem, which then means that you get fewer points to the next event. It's like it cascades further down. So now it's just going to be a year and a half of that instead of a year.
True.
So I don't, and like I say this with some degree of sympathy because this was unforeseen circumstances. So I'm not like playing blame game on any of this. I'm just like I just think it kind of is unfortunate though.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
It's very much so unfortunate.
It's even more unfortunate, and I don't want to like jump too far ahead. I've already done that a little bit, but the top 4 players, so the 4 players who made it through in winter were the 4 players who like won their little mini brackets. So it ended up being like the seeded players. It was like the rich get richer, but it was even more like the super rich get even super richer. We can go into like more details about it later, but it was
by winning more, right?
Because they played the least number of matches, they were also the freshest going into the playoffs.
The freshest. That's like the new ping, the freshest.
I mean,
You
it is
couldn't you say
significant.
they didn't get to warm up.
That's sure, but like they only had to play 5 maps each. Like literally all 4 of them played 5 maps going into playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely some problems, some downsides of the format. But yeah,
No,
we'll
I
get
agree.
into that.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm just sad about Firefly because he didn't have visas. and-
Nope.
true.
Sorry.
So Yang
True.
Shiping,
Later.
Would Clem have won if Firefly was at that last
No,
event?
no, he wouldn't have.
I
Firefly
don't
beats
think
him.
so. I don't
Firefly is
think
your
so.
Atlanta champion in
10
God
times out of 10.
damn it,
absentia.
Yang Shiping. So first of all, I want to say, if y'all don't know where Yang Shiping is, besides it's in Sweden.
He
But
just tried
otherwise-
to insert Firefly at all costs.
It is like a beach town kind of in Sweden that is an hour and a half. Was that how long it was? Drive from the airport. So I just want to say that first and foremost. That was my first reaction. Was getting like this weird like travel plan where like you landed in another where did you land? And like the point was you had to like land in a very small airport and then travel a very long way. But it was beautiful. Coming in, it's a very scenic town, but it is not the easiest to get to. But the crowd was surprisingly good. So Valencia was easy enough to get to. But the crowd really sucked. Even though there was a crowd, which the camera made it look like it wasn't, it still was not a very good crowd. But Yangshiping, even though it was really out of the way, the crowd was constantly full and pretty energized as well. I don't know if you guys could hear it. So that was a nice surprise. I was really worried that it would be like Valencia, but it wasn't. So that was nice. And then we had that be I think the major story from that event was Gumiho's run. Yeah, Gumiho going toe to toe with Serral for a little bit was really truly impressive. I mean, he beat Solar and Cure on the way there, and he beat Maro in that tournament too, which was the first sign of potential coolness. But for me, it was him going toe to toe in like the first 2 games against Serral. I was like, oh shit, Gumiho's in that form again. Didn't necessarily keep it, but
that Ancient Cistern game was like, it's so funny because like the meme of like Game of the Year is such a thing, but like if you were to compile a list of like, I don't know, 30 or 40 games of the year, that one would definitely be on that list. It would have at least a top 25 ranking.
30 or 40.
and there's a lot of games of StarCraft. That's still pretty high.
There's a lot of there's a lot of really good games now. Like
Yeah.
That is good. I mean, a Game of the Year contender at the time. So there's been a couple though from since then. But otherwise, I don't know if it was really all that impactful. I suppose nothing really all that noteworthy. I mean, I had fun hanging out with Swedish people in a club. That was fun. And then that was it. Really, there was nothing interesting about Yangshiping, to be honest.
I mean, Kenny, the guy in chat does bring up a good point that Steadfast and I cast this game where Bjorn played a laser and he went his Reaper opening, but instead of quitting, he built 16 Reapers and killed a laser with a Reaper drop.
yeah, he did.
Which was plain disrespectful. But, I forgot about it until he brought it up, but there was that.
Yeah, we don't have teabagging in StarCraft 2, but that was about as close as it comes in terms of like level of disrespect. One thing that was also kind of funny is Haz got seeded into I don't even know what round it was. He got seeded into like round 2 of the knockout bracket. There we go. And he just got absolutely obliterated. And it did not look even a little bit close. And like, it's weird to highlight this, but I just looked at the bracket and I was like, oh man, like, yeah, we got 3-2 Lambo over Bunny, Gumiho 3-2 Maru, like all these close series. Yeah, a few 3-0s, that kind of sucks. But then I looked at Haas versus Lambo and I was just like, oh yeah, that was one where Haas got he replaced Oliveira and Coffee because they like messed up the visas.
Yeah.
So like
That was the drama.
Imagine you have Oliveira in that spot where Haz was, instead of because I think he got into the winner stage.
Mm.
I don't think Haz won a single map. Like I think he
No.
went 0-7. No. He went 0-5 because it was 0-7. 0-7. Yeah.
And when you think about
And another thing I hate about Haas.
And it's funny when you think about that as well, Steadfast, because Oliveira, pretty much after Yanshiping, he disappeared for a little bit. Like, there were rumors in the Chinese scene that he was just retiring, that he was, he'd won Katowice, he'd done his WTL run, ending on a high note. And he's back now, obviously. He had a solid run at Atlanta, but makes you wonder what happens if he can actually attend Yanshiping. Does he have that fall off? Does he decide to take it easy for a while? Do we have a Oliveira that is able to maintain that Katowice form maybe a little bit further? I don't know. It's a long year, but
That was the first big drama for sure. Is that Oliveira's visa was messed up, which they acknowledged and said they'd fix later, and then they did. We're very clear that if they couldn't get someone's visa, like Firefly, I was like, it really isn't our fault this time, we swear. Which I believe them. I'm just they really had to emphasize. So yeah, Yanshiping. The other thing was Byun having to quit versus Raynor. Basically, not entirely, but basically.
That was versus Estrella, no?
Was
I
it?
Think it was versus Estrella on Royal Blood.
No. It was this quarterfinals. Like, I think it happened twice, but I think the bigger
one... It
one...
might have happened twice then, yeah.
Yeah, the bigger one was definitely versus Raynor. It had to have been.
Yeah, he formatted the lower bracket semifinal versus Estrella. And then, he did it again.
Pretty sure.
Yeah,
but he officially formatted or forfeited the match. Like, I think the Raynor versus Byun series, it was, he called for a pause maybe, and it was very clear that was what caused him to lose. But Estrella versus Byun, he actually formally forfeit, in an official sense.
Yeah. Which, was impactful.
Sad.
It was
super
sad.
fucking sad.
But clearly knowing that he was just going to run out of steam or had run out of steam amidst a game was really quite disappointing. And then Raynor moved on to kind of get bopped by Serral, but seemed to be the start of Raynor's dislike of ZVZ, perhaps. I mean, I'm not sure he was ever a huge fan of it, but I think you would see him go back and forth. And then it just feels like he hasn't really gotten his groove with that. And, to the point that he's playing Protoss versus Zerg. So that might have been where I earmarked it anyway. So Yanshiping came and went. And then we went into... wrong buttons. Global Final 2, Code S, which Mara won again. So that was his sixth event win.
Wait, we skipped the European regionals.
No, we did. We kind of briefly mentioned it, but I wasn't going to really focus
That's when we
on
were talking
it.
about max packs. And
Yeah, that's when we were talking about max packs.
Oh, true.
It is important to note that was a sick run from Max Packs too. Like that was
It was.
That was the first time a Protoss player had looked competitive against Serral
wow.
in a while. I think Showtime had gone 2-3 versus him in a couple of regionals, but it felt like that was the first time.
Offended in Showtime. Yeah, dude. Okay. No, I'm gonna back up my boy Showtime here. Showtime had
said since Showtime.
so many. He had so many series versus Serral that were 3-2. Showtime looking ridiculously close versus Serral, but just unfortunately losing. You can't write this off as oh yeah, he had 1 or 2 series.
You can't write this off, Steadfast.
Dude, Dave. Look, I need you to. I know you're a Zerg player, and you're I mean. It was all just Protoss power or something with the power of Max. No, Dave, come on.
How many times does it happen in the finals of a tournament?
In the finals of a tournament?
Yeah. Because this was the finals. This was the finals at Max Pack Serral.
I mean, I think Showtime only made top 4. But I think he's still taking... Wow. I guess the finals is the only thing that matters, right?
I mean, if you ask most
Why
of
do
the
we even
community,
watch the rest of the tournament? We should just watch the finals.
In a similar vein of thought, the finals casters are also the only thing that matters. Am I right, fellas?
That's actually very true.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Okay, so The rest of us don't get to talk. It's only ZombieGrub for the rest of the podcast, right?
Exactly.
Oh,
Everyone,
yeah.
get the fuck out. Come back to me when you cast the finals. Actually, feardragon, I cast finals. feardragon could
Have
say.
Have I ever cast?
You,
Yeah, in
you and
Sweden.
I cast TSL 9. ZD
Oh,
and
that's
I
true.
cast TSL 9.
Okay,
Ah,
Beomulf
yeah,
or
there we
Steadfast
go.
can say.
Hey,
Beomulf, get the fuck out.
I'm King of Battles, Cerro Mario.
No,
I got
that
one.
does not count. That does not count.
CatZ is like game on invitational.
I just assumed that
Oh,
CatZ has
oh.
done it eventually, like at some point in the long history.
I
but-
think I've casted like a European finals, maybe not. Like
Oh yeah, we definitely. I know
Well,
you and I did.
yeah.
Some of the European.
I,
finals and stuff.
offline only.
Oh,
yeah,
well,
offline
okay.
only, offline only.
Well, all these random restrictions that you're putting on.
Just the one. Anyway, so back to the GSL. So Mara wins again, and that was versus Dark, which was okay. Cure once again. So close hit so far. Because he was up 2-0. That was the epic reverse sweep thing. Comeback. So, womp womp. Mara wins again. Then we get to Gamers 8. So, if we recall, there was the Gamers Without Borders tournament that happened in the early part of the year, which is very odd and kind of came out of nowhere. And then eventually they announced that there would be StarCraft 2 at Gamers 8, which was a tournament that was already running in Saudi. And we've discussed at length over at least 2 talk shows, how we feel about that and all that good stuff that goes along with world politics. But we're not here for that. We're here for the StarCraft 2 portion. And just in a bubble, it was a pretty well-run machine. We had a nice hotel, travel was fine, the convention was huge because it was actually like a festival. So like we were like one tiny part of the festival. And actually the studio was a fair distance away from the actual stadium, which they did a great job making look very glamorous and as if it was like a stadium, like huge. And it really wasn't. It was big, but the actual crowd, it was like 6 bleachers, like high school bleachers, maybe across and like 2 up or something like that. So, and there wasn't so much a crowd either. Because again, it's not like a StarCraft 2 event. Like the thing we did was a StarCraft 2 event, but the whole thing is a humongous festival where there's way more popular stuff happening than us.
Also, it's not even like just esports or even just
Yeah.
gaming. It was like carnival games and random other stuff.
Yeah. I really mean a festival. I don't mean like DreamHack Festival because I guess
Yeah.
they call that a festival. But I'm talking like there might have even been like an amusement park somewhere that we never got to visit. Like we never went around and looked at everything because it was stupid hot. But that Fancy, the guy who worked with Seltzer, did an excellent job. He like felt and
Fancy.
sounded like he was in the scene, but he did every game at Gamers 8. Every game. So, and he was a really nice guy. He offered to like show us around because like all of us had weird flights. Everyone flew out not Monday, which we usually do, but Tuesday at 2 a.m. So that was a weird one. Where we almost also didn't get our hotel. That was fun.
The reason why, by the way, is because the finals were going so late, or there was an expectation that the finals may go so late on the Sunday that if we had, and like the only flight out available at that like was at 2 a.m. So if the finals went late, then we would have just not made our flights at 2 a.m.
Yes.
So we had to like wait an extra 24 hours basically.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why. We fortunately got our hotel figured out for Monday to Tuesday because like initially we were like it's figured out, right? And they were like, yeah. And then we go to double check Monday morning and they're like, nope, you're supposed to leave. And we're like, oh, get the fuck out of here. But we got that fixed, fortunately. A lot of the players were in the same boat as well. But otherwise, it was very smooth. And I don't think there's any major issues. Obviously, people loved the remastered stuff. Brood War stuff. And the just general Legends tournaments. I mean, I feel like there was a lot of discussion. Obviously, a lot of nostalgia. But definitely a lot of discussion. Is it the case that we just don't have any more good Prodosses because MC won as a Protoss in a round of 4 show match?
Or is it the case that like these players are not well practiced and Protoss takes a little bit less to get Get up there, little
I don't know. I don't know.
Ooh.
I think we
Another
should
way of saying
all
that you could say that it's easy.
we should
Don't
all
say
totally
that.
neglect all of the Protosses who are currently in the scene's hard work and just say that they're not as good.
I mean, there's a
That
reason
sounds
that,
like a
you
good
know,
idea.
bottom
Yeah.
16.
I'm just saying, we gotta
of
provide all
ESL
the
Europe is
perspectives
all
here.
Protoss players.
It's just if
saying.
MC
Beomulf.
was still
That is
playing
interesting.
and he played at a competitive, he dedicated his hours, he would have won every tournament that a Protoss has lost in. That's what I'm just saying.
I like it.
It's because he hasn't been beaten down emotionally. He's used to winning. So whenever he's like about to win, he doesn't like swerve away from the victory. Like he just actually wins, you know?
Well, what does Hero do then? Does he like swerve into the guardrail or
Yeah. Well, of course he does.
because I feel like he doesn't swerve away, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, away, like into the guardrail is kind of a way. I just some players swerve in different ways, you know. Some
true.
players just hit the brakes really hard.
Uh-huh.
Some
Leave
players hit the-
Showtime alone, Dave. Leave Showtime alone.
Stop it.
I mean, people in Brood War talk about how they forgot how to win when they were practicing with Flash. So, yeah. There we go.
I like it. I like it.
I like it. Let's bring in Boxer.
I do think that maybe the correct analogy is that Hero overcorrects, MC just like kind of corrects and then continues plowing forward. But Hero is that driver who is from Florida who like gets 1 inch or a half an inch of snow and is like, that's Hero. So
I like that we have these analogies for different Protoss players where it's like Hero overcorrecting, MC just like putting the gas through the pedal and making it through like the red lights and just being like boss toss.
The guardrail.
Then you have fucking Zest who's just like going in like swervy curves and somehow makes it through. And everyone's like, that shouldn't have worked. I like this. I like the idea of just every
That's
Protoss player
perfect.
being some kind of like chaotic driver.
he actually veered off into the forest, yet miraculously dodged every single tree and got back onto the way.
He actually saved time.
That is Zest. Anyways, the other thing that they did was they actually had 2 days of media, which is unheard of, I would say, in StarCraft, even like in their like the heydays. Because there's a weird inverse thing where there was a heyday of like viewership and the amount of money that was flowing in that was used maybe incorrectly, but still, the production didn't really get a lot of that a lot of the time, where the talent didn't get paid that a lot of the time. So we had, more viewership and money for like an MLG in 2012 or something, I don't know, but the production was still actually very, very low. So there wasn't media days, but there was 2 media days, and they even split us up so that technically there was supposed to kind of be like a situation where both, like half the talent got a day off, basically. I not just volunteered, I basically forced myself into doing both media days. Because they didn't put me on the Brood War one initially. They put Loco. And I was like, I love you, Loco. You get the fuck out! So I asked politely if I could do it, and Loco was like, yeah, of course. Yeah, no worries. But I like to make myself sound like more like a bully. What else? I guess that's it for the fun anecdotes. It was just, it was a really well-run tournament. There was a couple of video pieces that I hoped would come to light, but the media people didn't have as much time as I'd hoped. But the actual tournament, really fun. Obviously, big story is that Clem finally defeated his nemesis, which was not just Maru, but just generally Korean Terrans in offline tournaments. And he kind of bopped him as well. I don't even remember what game Maru won.
Also, to me, I mean, I know that this is like the weird discussion of like, was this a global finals like level event, or do we consider it that because it's such a big event and there's such stacked names and stuff? But to me, this was like, I know this is like the other thing in the back of my mind. Raynor won his big global final event when it was the entirely online season. And I know he was talking about how like massive this was and important for him. Where he was just like, I feel like I have actually now won a global finals kind of event.
Yeah.
I thought that was
it was a
story.
global finals event without being
technically
in my
one.
opinion, this is as big as IEM Katowice was. Like it
It's 150,000 for first, and
Yeah,
you know
like-
everyone's gonna
yeah.
be trying, right? Like
Yeah.
what's most important is every player knows that every player is gonna prepare as hard as they can. So that's where the prestige comes from.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
you saw it in the Swiss format too. Like players were busting out everything they could. Like
Yeah.
one thing we're not talking about is how well Classic played in the
Oh, yeah.
Swiss
Well-
stage. Like he fucking ripped and tore his way through the Swiss stage. In like 2-0 Rainer, 2-1 Bjorn, 2-1 Serral with like sick new builds, ultra tight.
Yeah.
Execution, like just absolutely played out of his fucking mind. Like he played so well in
Yeah.
the Swiss format,
But-
which
but
then
what
leads
kind of
into what
driver was
Zombie Grub
he?
is building to, I think.
No. I was just gonna say, like, I just started with Clem, and it felt like you guys were like, well, that wasn't the only thing. And I was like, I wasn't,
Yeah. Sorry, no,
I
no,
wasn't saying
trying
it was
to,
the only thing.
No. I'm just building on the point of like everyone was really locked in and really brought their best version of themselves to
Yeah.
this tournament.
What type of driver is Classic? Fair question.
Classic is the guy. He is actually just a normal driver. He is, so everyone else is a race car driver, but Classic is like an excellent, very good driver, you know? Like he drives just the most normal way possible. He does it really, really well. But when you
He's like an
need-
Amazon Prime
when-
driver, I feel like.
Well, no. But when you need to go through a light, when you're like, all right, Classic, that's a late yellow. You need to go through that light. He's like, no, that would be illegal.
Nah.
You can't
Wow, I
do that.
disagree so
No,
much.
actually, yeah,
No,
yeah,
he's
so
baby
much.
driver, and Cure ripped his earbuds out.
No.
Well, I
mean,
don't know about that.
No, Classic
But
is.
if
Classic
someone
is
was
like,
the normal driver who stopped on a yellow, that is stats, 100%. Chat's right.
That would be stats, 100%.
Yeah.
100% stats. Yeah.
Stats drives
Stats,
like he
maybe
has,
Showtime,
you know, a
maybe
box of
Showtime,
kittens in the back.
I
you
mean,
know?
I'm thinking of the series
Showtime,
versus
yeah.
Dark at
Katowice? No,
no.
that was Creator. Sorry.
Winter
Atlanta.
at Atlanta, where he kills like 22 drones in 2 consecutive early games.
Yeah.
With Adepts and Oracles, and it's just like,
Okay.
now we macro.
That's just
Yeah,
no,
that's
yeah,
a
but-
good. But overall, Classic is seen as an innovator, right? I mean, that's literally what we were talking about, which is why I found the analogy so surprising.
Yeah.
You're like, he innovated. He did weird stuff for Cicero. It was awesome. But he's like a really safe driver who doesn't do anything weird.
Classic is the guy who I think is like a kind of normalish driver, but he's gonna like lane change in the middle of like the intersection.
Without
And
putting his
that's how he
blinker
gets
on.
into his
Without
accidents.
blinkers, yeah.
Yeah.
Without the
Yeah, exactly. It's like there's no blinkers. He just does. It's like he starts in the left lane, and by the end of the intersection, he's in the right lane. And
but
like
he never speeds.
I think
will never
classic.
speed.
I think classic is really good, but sometimes he texts while driving, and then he just starts going in the other lane. You know, just go.
There we go.
So-
That's it.
I'm on board with this. This is
Yeah.
my
Okay.
favorite explanation.
That's the one. 4-1. That's the one. He's oh boy. That's weirdly enough, I thought that was the worst one. I heard texting while driving, and I was like, oh. And I meanwhile hear like Zest goes to the woods just like random, and I'm like, well, that's fine.
That's fine. This is fine.
Zest goes through the woods in a 1997 Toyota Camry and somehow emerges like 15 seconds ahead of every other driver on the track. And you're like, where did you go? And he's like, shh.
Yeah.
I have 48 probes on
Yeah.
6 bases.
He emerges and somehow he hit the trees and like the leaves actually cleaned off some bird poop from his car. He, like somehow the car looks even better from when it like went off the road.
Oh, and what is
So
Creator? I can tell you exactly what Creator is.
Oh.
Road rager.
Road rage. I was
Yeah, he's got
fucking
kids in the back. She's like, I'm turning
might
this
be a
plane
drunk
around.
driver.
Going through the
actually.
intersection with a horn on.
Creator
We're going home.
Creator has like 6 DUIs, man. Like he's
Oh
in
my
some
God.
shit. Creator is just he is He
Oh,
is as
Jesus.
dangerous to every other person as he is to himself.
Yeah, apparently.
Oh my god. I want to see like a Fast and Furious trailer, but it's just all of these Protoss players' faces
At
photoshopped.
Gemini.
Yeah, who's our best video person? Oh, geez. Analogies aside, Classic did play really well. That was our kind of like our hope was that Classic would actually appear as a semifinalist, and then I mean, facing Cure was always going to be the most difficult because Cure's win record, I think, it's not actually the best anymore. I went over this just this week. Clem's is, but Curious is still like fucking amazing, and he has the special ability. I feel like of looking like it's not even that great and then winning anyway, which I think is especially helpful versus Classic. So Classic could have won the final game, I believe. I remember Roddy discussing at length what could have been done. Classic maybe through a little bit, but I always thought that he was gonna lose. I thought that was like the worst draw for him. But
it's actually unfortunate that in consecutive tournaments he got the worst possible draw in the round of 8 for himself when he's playing so fucking well. It's literally as if God hates him. Like
Hates Protoss. Hates Protoss.
hates Protoss, yeah.
No, but personally Classic, because it's happened specifically to Classic twice now.
It's the Protoss dilemma though, is that God hates them. So like whenever they're about to finish, they're running over the finish line. He just places a stick. What is it? What was the Muslim analogy? He throws the stick in front of the train, and the train gets derailed. That is Protoss. They never can actually cross the finish line.
It's the meme, right, where someone's biking along and they stick the stick in their own spokes. Like, how could Zerg do this? It's not quite, but anyway.
But I feel like it is almost,
Almost divine intervention.
Exactly. Like it's past the point of you've been watching them stick the stick into the wheel for like years, and then you're like, maybe it's not them. Maybe like
okay, but what if
Great
2024 is the year of Protoss? What do you guys think?
Nerf Liberators, then we got a shot.
No,
I think they'd have to patch it again. Actually,
I think we will get a patch pretty
there will
soon.
probably be a patch. Yeah, there will probably be a patch.
Will the patch be any good? No.
I feel like we just need to make one change. Nerf Liberator late game. Is it? I mean, we can do weird things too, but like
We feel like we wanted to increase the defensive capabilities of Protoss units, and so we
That is the
decided to
difficult part,
create a
yeah.
buff for the shield battery. We now are going to allow the shield battery to heal all units, including not Protoss units and enemy units. It's just going to be greater defenses across the board for everyone.
No, Fear Dragon. We decided Protoss needed better defensive utility for the unit, so we just removed the shield battery.
Yeah, yeah. I get you.
Honestly, though, like
that's right there. I get
understand
you.
The
Here's
shield
one.
battery
We
no
watched-
longer requires energy.
We
Or sorry,
watched a
it doesn't
video-
have energy anymore.
We watched a
It's like-
video by Artosis where he said there's not enough defensive Protosses. So in order to incentivize defensive Protoss play, we've nerfed aggressive Warpins from the Warp Prism to make sure that they practice correctly. That's the patch.
All these suggestions sound great. I love I think Fear Dragon was going to say the shield battery no longer has energy, but still requires energy.
Yeah, the healing still requires energy. But the patch note just says, we removed energy from the shield battery. And like everyone's like, oh, that seems like a really strong change to just get the shield battery. It just doesn't heal anymore.
It's just
no
a thing.
energy on it.
This is going to help the Sim City against Banelings. You're welcome.
Shield batteries
battery
we found
no
were important
longer-
for walling out of depths, but we just didn't like the units or the building.
Yeah.
Well, they did break that for a while.
Exactly.
There was a solid, what was it, a month where you couldn't wall off against the depths because you couldn't cancel shield batteries?
Yeah,
Well, you just
exactly.
had to use Pylon, but it was just worse. It did affect Trigger in a tournament, and just a minor one, but
Yeah.
it was still like, oh, nice.
Yeah.
I think it hurt Showtime in a game too.
No, it was actually versus Showtime because
Oh,
Showtime
okay,
knew
okay.
about it and Trigger did not. And Trigger was like, excuse me? And Showtime was like, yeah, you can't do this now. And like Trigger was like, what?
And I know Showtime also got hit by it during like one of the EPT weeklies or something. I remember watching that.
Really?
Yeah.
That must have been before.
He was streaming it actually, I think.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we get a patch or the new maps will change it. I don't know.
Question though.
Yeah.
If there is a patch and Protoss was to get buffed, right?
Mhm.
How would you buff Protoss so that you don't buff them at the right under the top level?
Oh, yeah.
Because do we want like everyone but Cyril and like do we have Protoss in the
Buff the Void
Yes.
Ray. Give it 3
Shut the
buffs.
fuck up,
Minor
bro.
Don't
buffs.
do that to me
Shut up.
again.
Give it
That was
3
a
buffs.
horrible
Kick him off the
time,
call.
Robbie.
All right,
Kick him
we
out
can
of
talk.
here.
We can talk. Maybe
Get him
build
outta here.
time
It's so
reduction.
difficult.
We
I'm
can
gonna
talk
keep talking over you. I'm
lower
not gonna let
minerals.
you get a word
Oracles,
in.
maybe?
I will literally drown you out without hesitation.
We talked about donation goals to get people kicked off the broadcast. ZombieGrub, what are we setting it at? Like $5. Someone, if you donate $5 to not even to me, we'll kick Fear Dragon out.
Yeah. So Hero Walk in chat has the right idea. I think it has to be a buff that requires very high level execution.
Well-
basically, right?
I don't think it's a
Like-
buff. That's
my
needed, honestly. I just-
my perspective
see.
is actually more that they need to continue
Get
tuning
good.
Terran. No, Terran.
Yeah, no, they just got to nerf Terran a little bit.
Yeah,
I think
100%.
honestly, like the Raven change is obviously the most important, and arguably we still could use a little more time, I guess, really testing things out. But
Mhm.
if it does stay the same way, I do feel like the Cyclone as an additional option was kind of taking at least some of the wind out of those sails. Even though
did.
it's not always broken, it has added an option of like, well, I guess the Protoss is dead, which that's not very fun. So that's what I just, unsurprisingly, I just wish that they would change the Cyclone back. Because then apparently also, one of the things that apparently was suggested is that the Cyclone change would help for Oracle harassment. Oracle harassment. And that was actually nonsensical. I actually am really surprised that ever made it into an excuse. It's not the official reason, just to be clear. I just heard that from someone. Because that doesn't make any sense. Like the Oracle might live, but it still doesn't, do anything. The Cyclone still defends as well as it used to, but also now has early game aggression and comes out of the reactor, so it's harder to scout exactly what the Terran is doing. So anyway, unsurprisingly, I kind of want the Cyclone to be reverted back, and then with the Raven interference matrix change, see how it looks again. It's a very small change potentially, but obviously we're going to be talking about small changes because, we don't want the, round of 16, 8 Protosses to now be all over the round of 8 Protosses, Like we don't want to
I think all we need actually is just, nerf SCV HP by 5. Let them suffer like the rest of us. Make everything 2-shot SCVs, and then
That would be a high level buff for Protoss actually, because it interacts with Oracles the most.
I was going to say,
hardest units.
this is the most bronze level Reddit suggestion you've ever made, Beomulf.
No. There's logic to it. It's not because it would necessarily be good, right? It would be broken. It would be a significant difference. But then you get the changes that actually need to get made with, say, Widowmine changes or whatever, because now Terrans are the ones also suffering from it. So, the Terran cabal of saying, Widowmines or whatever are fine.
The Terran
They can't make the argument anymore because they're also suffering from Widowmine drops now in a lot more significant way. So it's not because I think it's not for this patch. It's for the next patch.
The Terran Syndicate.
5-head play.
I actually unironically think that, and this is a really fundamental change, but it's one that I don't think you can really logically argue against, like from a lore perspective. Repair costing a quarter of the cost of a unit has always felt weird and wrong.
Why do you say from a lore perspective? That is like a
what
very
is- what
lore.
is-
Lore?
That
A
makes
lore perspective.
that makes a
What
ton
is
of
from a
sense.
lore
They're like
Could
the
you repeat-
scrappy,
could you
like
repeat?
we're gonna fix it, but we're gonna like kind of
Wait.
cheap
Can you
out and
repeat
fix
that?
it.
So I'm saying repair should cost 100% of unit instead of 25%, or
Nah,
make
there's
it
no point to
75
doing
or
that.
50%.
That's wild.
25% is really low. 25% is insanely low for what you can do, and it would make I don't know that it would actually fix balance. I just think that it's one of those things that it feels weird.
Oh, I'm so glad
Transform
Special's here to
resource
make
from
the
the
face
unit.
that I wanted to make.
Yeah. No, I don't think I have that as like the balance change. My balance change is definitely revolving around Liberators.
Yeah.
In other games, they have
Nerf
it for
extended range
free.
by 1.
Sorry, free?
Repair, and I think it's Stormgate is free, right, Beomulf?
It was at one
No.
point. I don't know if it is on the current
Also,
patch.
I don't know if it is.
Yeah,
but
it
I
is.
think
I don't
low
think so.
cost or free even is not too bad.
I think
Oh,
honestly, I think 50% would be better, but
But
That's-
bear in mind that the SCV is also not mining during that, and it costs a lot of actions too.
Yeah.
So
Can
it's
I
not
ask
just
Dave? Is there like what scenario in a game are you imagining this changing or fixing?
it's more just like this is like all the other races have been kicked in the face for a long time. This is just like an equivalent kick in the face, like it doesn't really fix
This
the
is-
game in
yeah.
any way. It just makes it feel worse for Terrans. Like this
Yeah.
is this is
It's
an
a kick in the
attack
balls,
on
for sure. Yeah.
on their soul, less so
Yeah.
than on the actual game balance. This is
Yeah.
more of like this is a personal thing.
I see. I agree.
I
Yeah,
love that the
then we're all on
Zerg
the
is
same
bringing
page.
out personal to Terran when like we definitely had to like live through 2 years of you guys being like Broodlord Infestor is fine. Like why don't
That
you
is
just get
never
better?
said
long
Broodlord
ago,
Infestor
Zombie.
was
Like,
fine. I
please
never
bring up,
said that,
like,
and I never
say,
played
Swarm
Oh,
Broodlord
I
being
believe that you
broken.
never
Ultras.
said it steadfast, but God believe me, Zergs absolutely
Oh, yeah.
fucking said it. And you are doing a race v race thing right now.
I mean,
We are getting into very demonetized YouTube territory.
like in seriousness though, so remind me that the Widowmine change that gave him an EMP to shield damage, that was because charge slots were too strong, right? That was when charge slots had impact damage.
Oh, I don't fucking remember, man. They've been so many changes.
Anyway,
sounds kind of correct. I think
so
that sounds
Zealots
familiar.
no longer have that. Why don't we just revert the EMP on the Widowmine?
Like subtract shield damage from it.
Like they no longer do bonus damage versus shields.
I mean, if you actually want to go the Widowmine route, you don't do the thing with the SCV subtract. You do plus splash damage so that SCVs still get one shotted, and then.
No, I'm joking about making SCVs get one shot. I'm fine with that, but I'm saying like I think that you do need to address community sentiment about Widowmines, and if you're taking power out of Widowmine drops and just taking power out of Widowmines in general, specifically against Protoss, removing EMP damage is the
It's
change.
kind of weird the Widowmine thing, no? It's like like last year or so, like it really exploded. But
I think people have always hated it.
Okay.
There's just been other things to complain about first.
I have
I
the
see.
solution.
Hmm.
We'll make it so that Widowmines do their damage not instantly, but over the course of their shield damage and like the killing like units, they'll do the damage over the course of 3 seconds. But it's unhealable damage.
So then it still goes through absolutely. Like
so there's no actual change, but you just get to see the Widowmine shut off. You just get to watch your probes die for 3 seconds.
You know what?
Ruffy has really taken my attack their mental.
But it won't.
to
It'll
a
at
next
least.
level.
So the idea is right now it's a really negative feeling to just see all of your units die instantaneously. And so now we're gonna spread it out over 3 seconds, so it's not like all felt at once.
Us at the
And now it won't
StarCraft 2
feel as
Blizzard
bad.
Entertainment think that it just really feels bad when a Terran can't quite get the scan and a kill on an observer.
We need
Yeah, right.
coping time, basically, like a 3 second window of time where you can kind of learn to go through the 5 stages of grief for the units.
The
you're
only
about
way
to
I'll
lose.
accept that is if Sarah McLachlan plays while it's happening.
In
And
the
the funny thing is,
arms
I think that would be
of
a-
the angels.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be actually a pretty solid buff to Protoss, though, right? Like suddenly Zealots they're able to make better contact. They're able to survive a little bit longer.
Can
carving
we-
into a
Beomulf
bio
is
ball?
actually
Like
analyzing
that's
I want to move away from the balance, but can we not
Yeah.
touch the Zealot? I see far too many suggestions from Reddit and y'all right now.
Y'all.
Zealot is like the worst thing to touch because regardless of actual what balance implications would be, it's a very moving unit that doesn't highlight anyone's skill when they use Zealots over someone else's. Like, look, can we stop suggesting that on Reddit and shit?
The funny
plus
thing,
8 damage.
The funny thing is,
Plus
there's
8 damage.
there's actually some really cool micro you can do with Zealots with
The
redirecting
charge
charge.
micro that you can do with target firing charge is actually so sick.
It's actually so sick, but no one does it. Literally,
I mean,
okay,
it's just not actually
I know everyone's eye rolling, but there's like
It's
you're
actually
right, Dave.
fucking
No one
cracked.
does it. But here's the thing: people don't even realize you can you can actually do like a target fire charge on an enemy unit, and then charge back home, and your zealot will literally
it will
just
get there.
charge home, not even into the enemy. It's like basically a stim.
What is a bug?
It's literally just like a stim, but it
No, it's
requires
not
a
a bug,
lot
it's
of
really a
extra
bug.
action, so of course it's not practical.
But no, like that could there is.
All right, get back to me when that starts happening. So anyway,
The
next
Protoss
tournament.
players are just worse because
Wait,
they're not
wait,
using.
yeah,
They're
this
just
is true,
not
but
microing as well as they
you-
could.
But to
Got it,
ZombieGrub's
okay.
point, you could nerf the Zealots HP or something, and then buff something else in Protoss because Zealots are very low execution skill. Like you could slightly nerf the Zealot and buff something else because Zealots
Just like
are
how we nerfed
permeate.
the disruptor and then buffed Oracle.
Well, Zealots are
stasis
like a
trap
base
vision
unit,
range.
so like
ZombieGrub looks like someone who's lost control of the situation. right now.
sorry, yeah.
Oh, not your fault. Not your fault. The chat also goes in like, oh my goodness. The chat was like, oh,
The chat
yeah.
is wild. The chat is
Fun
wild.
times, yeah. You know that tournament happened. That was pretty cool. What the fuck? You said that Protoss needs to be buffed. What the fuck is wrong with you, you stupid douchebag?
This is just for your ZombieGrub. We're not doing this just for Twitch chat. Get engaged. This is for your YouTube comments. Like this is for engagement right now.
If I just put like lovely time with friends talking about our love for StarCraft, there would be no clicks. But if I just put real talk strategy, balance all the time, everywhere, every day, people would watch shit out of it.
Have we had
Yeah,
a
it's-
single RTS
Steadfast thinks that Protoss, like Showtime, don't deserve to win? Question mark.
That's true.
That's what I'm gonna highlight actually.
Steadfast thing, yeah.
I'm gonna
Showtime
really
doesn't
Showtime's
deserve to-
face like crying.
Shout
with
out to
tears,
StarCraft 2
and
historian.
Steadfast laughing.
Yeah, me laughing and pointing the fucking emote.
Oh, it's a
Just give Steadfast a bubble that says Showtime does not deserve to win, you know.
Oh yeah, the thumbnail has been made.
Oh.
Okay, so the
Meanwhile,
next
I
tournament.
personally said to him at Atlanta, I was like, I think you're gonna win a tournament soon, man. And he's like, nah. And I was like, nah, you will. And then everyone's
he,
like,
like-
Steadfast ain't Showtime so much.
You know, if Showtime would remember that bases exist, I'd agree. But unfortunately,
You went there.
Oh, moving on. We got
we'll
Gamers
get there
8.
soon.
Raynor really did look like the pinnacle of Zerg.
Yeah.
He looked insane.
Yeah.
I hope we get to see that again at Katowice.
I think we will. I think he wanted to show it at Atlanta too, but he got sick, right? So he didn't get to prepare as much as he wanted.
He also wasn't practicing as much. So
He wasn't doing his insane Archon mode, super
Yeah,
dedicated, ultra instinct practice. No, definitely
Yeah,
not.
when I talked to him at the start of Katowice, it's like you have to have this mindset almost, but he felt like he could do well on account of the practice that he had been putting in until he got sick, basically. So he felt like he was like, you know, I don't know if he was super public about it or like how much exactly he was practicing, but he felt like he had put in work, but then got sick.
yeah, that is unfortunate. But he really looked like if there's anyone who could keep that form that he had at Gamers 8, I mean, they would actually be unbeatable. It was
Oh, yeah.
fucking crazy, actually.
Yeah.
He's insane, yeah.
Then we had another World Team League, which here we go. Onside Gaming won against Basilisk.
Oh, dang.
Yes, they did.
I don't remember much about this WTL season.
I
Then we'll
am
move on.
struggling to remember it as well. No, there's definitely some stories there. We won't. Sorry, I don't want to say no. We're not moving on, ZG.
Well,
I'll talk about this
we
one
are
though.
though.
Talk about this tournament.
I think the one thing I do remember from it was just thinking, like, to me, and maybe this is just me being a little bit out of touch on things, but to me this was like when I finally realized, I was like, oh, Solar's really good at playing versus Cyril.
Yeah.
I think this is when like it occurred to me. I'm like, oh shit, Solar's like really good at playing versus Cyril.
He
CVC
2-1
in general,
him.
but yeah, I guess, yeah.
2-0'd him.
So
Yeah.
Solar's just really good. Period. Full stop. He's just
That's true. That's true.
He's just a monster. He's we figured it out at Atlanta. He is actually like the third fastest player in the world.
Mhm.
People don't realize that, but
Empirically,
he's
the third.
So
blazing
Oliveira
fast.
second, actually.
Oliveira, Solar are second, third, and Raynor's first.
And Clem is fourth, or
Almost up
Clem
to
is
summer.
actually he wins out on accuracy.
Yeah.
Is what
Accuracy
gives
was
him.
his,
But he's
He was
obviously
still
super
fast,
fast too.
just not-
I don't know how fast, but he is super fast still.
What I love is actually about those stats. It was kind of cool. It's like Showtime's has the best reaction time because Widowmine drops.
That did not
And-
surprise me at all, by the way.
Some people, not to discredit Showtime,
yeah.
but some people
No,
did
I'm
not
with you.
take the test seriously.
Yeah,
Very
And
nice.
also it's like for that sort of thing, it does matter. Like that you just wake up, like the word, like it's not. Yeah, I don't think they score the same on every day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
Right.
it's still pretty sweet. Yeah.
We'll get to that though. But actually, kind of speaking of, Katowice introduced those cards, and they were a huge hit.
They were
Like,
cool.
They're so fucking
humongous.
awesome.
They brought it back for Yangtze but obviously it was kind of old hat, and then they wanted to do something new for Atlanta, and that's where we had different stats. But we'll get into the Atlanta stats eventually. First, Masters Coliseum. Cyril wins against Cure 4-1. Any big tournament matches there? As I didn't
Cyril's
watch it.
builds. Cyril's
Ooh,
builds
yeah,
in this
he had some
tournament.
sick builds.
Say, do tell.
Go
he had
on.
Give me a sec to look it up. This
He
was, I
had-
think this was where he started doing two base roach.
Yes, that was where he started doing.
The
These were all the
two-base
builds that
rogue
he
speed
wanted
builds.
to use at Gamers 8, then didn't because he
see.
didn't do as well. Like in Game 3 against Cyril Maru, he goes 2-base roach into a into like a 4-minute lair. He's got ultras on the map by 820, maybe even a little earlier. Just like this insane level of macro greed that Maru was not ready for in the slightest. He slashes Maru or smashes Maru. Like that was the big one for me. That kind of Maru Cyril series and these really weird, these new builds, these very interesting builds.
It felt like
Okay.
it felt like that was the beginning of the end of the 2 Reaper opening, or sorry, 2
Mhm.
Rax Reaper opening,
Yeah.
because of like some of the 2 base builds that came out. It felt like a little bit of an evolution of the meta at that point, I feel.
Yeah,
It was kind of cool.
checks out.
And then Maru bopped Clem in the lower bracket as like a bit of a statement game.
I guess so.
Yeah. I
Cool.
think Cure, of course, finishing second is pretty wild as well. Like it's a very, very consistent year for him.
That's very true.
Cure
First
was
final.
Cure had one of the best years quietly.
Yeah. Ever for himself. Yeah.
This was a Sue year for Cure.
Yeah.
Like really, really good, but not winning winning
Oh.
enough.
Actually,
sad,
yeah.
yeah.
That is such
exactly
a
what it
new
is.
StarCraft 2 person's way of saying they get second place a lot.
The
I'm a
calm,
StarCraft
yeah.
2 person, not a Brood War person. You know.
Jadon
Wait,
was
wait,
the...
Jado. Oh, you
Wait,
could have
wait,
gone
wait.
to yellow if you really.
Yeah,
Sue's
Yellow's the OG.
year of 4 straight
Yeah.
GSL
The OG
finals
comp.
not winning was, what was that, like 2016?
I don't recall. I don't remember exactly.
I don't think whenever it was, right? It was Heart of the Swarm.
But he
I
was
don't
the...
think
it's still, this is the thing, though. They got,
ZombieGrub, that was
10
like 8 years
years.
ago.
We got, like, cats with, like, 20 years, and then there's, like, Beomulf, who's, like, a babby who only has, like, 7 years.
yeah, but like here's the thing, all right? That's over 50% of StarCraft 2's history. Looking back,
Actually,
You can't-
What's
don't-
funny is that actual new StarCraft people who came in during COVID, there's a lot who say they came in, like, 2020, right? They're like, who the fuck is Sue?
Who the fuck
That
is
guy
Sue?
that loses all the
Dude.
time?
Dude, oh my
Yeah,
god.
but
Okay,
he
one of
loses
my
in really cool ways.
Loses
one of
all
my
the
favorite
time.
things, by the way, ZombieGrub, you will get such a kick out of this. Go to Trigger stream and just like make references to pre-2020 stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just so fun seeing like this
It's
player
fun.
who's actually like one of the best NA players now being like, who's Idra?
He's just.
And I'm just like, ah!
God.
He's like, what do you mean, hey, Grak? Like, what does that mean? Like, what is a Graken?
Oh,
Hi,
Or
jeez.
like, who? Yeah, he is
His
literally like a who
personality,
is Sue
it's,
guy.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
so funny. He's so
it's-
unapologetic as well. Yeah. Max
And,
Pax was the
exactly,
same, by the way, when he came on.
he's unapologetic, and
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, I mean, that's just like fucking boomer StarCraft stuff.
Yeah.
As he
exactly.
listens to like 90s music, like all of his tastes and everything from
Yeah.
like games and music and everything is like
He's
as
just
though
not
he grew up in the
simultaneously
90s and
everything.
he's like
Yeah.
a
But
35-year-old.
It's funny, though, no,
Yeah.
because the thing is that this is, like, actually very much apparently what Zoomers do. And we did it too, to be fair. Like, all generations do this. But there's a
Yeah.
gap of time in which they miss because they weren't involved in it. But then
Right.
there's time periods which they think are retro and fun. So 90s, he knows all about, even though he was born in the 2000s. But of course, if you ask him about the 2000s, like, you're like Britney Spears, Ashley Simpson. He's like, who? Because this literally happened while we were driving him around in a car in the Netherlands. I was like, Jesus.
That's
Okay.
interesting.
Ashley Simpson. Oh, that's a good one.
Who's Ashley Simpson? What did she sing?
It's not so much what she's saying as what she didn't
Yeah,
sing.
didn't sing.
And
She's-
danced her way off stage. That is...
Okay.
I am
God damn it.
Oh, it's such a
too
good...
much of
We
a
were-
zoomer for that.
We
I'm
were on a
sorry.
call hanging out with Maynard. And, well, you know what? I'm going to tell the story, actually. It's kind of mean-spirited, to be honest. But I hope Seltzer's okay with it. So, Ashley Simpson.
This is a great start.
Ashley Simpson is known for being Jessica Simpson's sister, but then she also is known for getting caught lip syncing. So what she did when the wrong song came on was that she kind of like stood around and then she did like a jig. She literally jigged her way off stage. That was her response. So we were talking about how Seltzer kind of flubbed the intro for the finals at Atlanta, which she's amazing at recovering. So she even made fun of herself a little bit, we talked about her
That's
after.
Yeah.
But Maynard was like, I would actually die if I made the same mistake. I don't even know. I fucking don't know what I would do. And I was like, you would do the Ashley Simpson chick off of stage. And just not come back on. Anyway.
ZombieGrub. I went to school with Jessica Simpson.
Really?
Yeah, it's not the Jessica Simpson you're thinking about, but there
I was
was a
gonna say,
girl
it's
in
a very-
middle school
it's a
that was
very
named
common
Jessica
name.
Simpson.
Very common name.
There we go.
Very common name.
My
Ugh.
contribution.
I watched The Simpsons.
There we go.
Got him.
No, it wasn't a big deal. It's just like the terror of being a stage host is only having a very limited amount of time to say things correctly the first time. And like, if you try to fix it, you maybe can, but then other times, like, you start introducing the player, so the player starts walking on. So there's like, you just sit there, like, and it's like very awkward. So the best thing for a stage host is being able to recover and, you know, not think about that when they lay awake at night. Like I think I would. This is why I do not stage host. So, anyway. We got CatZ Season 3, which was when Solar, speaking of, was able to win.
Yay!
Yay! And I think we all love Solar. He's great. But, again, GSL, not as cool as it once was.
Aww.
Yeah, you know, Maru.
And
I mean,
none
Solar
of
did
those
take down
series
Maru,
was
so there was that.
particularly good either. Like none of the semifinals or finals was good.
I mean, Gumio Classic was cool. You know, like the builds were interesting.
Yeah.
Just what we needed more of. Terran beating Protoss in premier tournaments. It's something we were really missing out on.
How else am I supposed to balance mine, Steadfast?
I mean, just like the way that I did just now. By
Got him.
By just shitting on Showtime.
Pitting all the Zergs against all the Terrans. Classic Starship Trooper scenario. So next we had no, not this one. Atlanta. We are once again skipping over European regionals.
I actually want to say something about the regionals.
I swear to God.
Which is not even necessarily about the games and stuff. I have not been the biggest believer in the co-streaming stuff, but I had a lot of fun watching Roddy co-stream that. Like, that was a very fun vibe. I really enjoyed. And it reminded me a lot of what it was just like sitting in the green room at an event and watching the games with Roddy there. Anyways, that's the tweet.
That makes sense, yeah.
Just making fun of all the casters.
Actually, yeah, it's like wholesome poking fun. Like, I think Ben would say something and Roddy would just start like cackling, like, I cannot believe this mad lad, this absolute buffoon, like, you know, in the way that only Roddy can talk about Ben.
It's only Roddy that can pull that off for sure.
It's only Roddy and it's only Ben that he's this mean to. He's just like, oh my God, this absolute clown. I can't believe he's saying this on the show.
You want to think about how many Reddit threads would happen if like Steadfast co-streamed and started saying similar stuff about the Brug. Like, oh man.
Well, I mean, yeah, like if I was just like, if I made it feel personal and people weren't like, oh man, there's very clearly a close personal relationship between, you know, Dimu and Roddy. I think I would be the first one to make a Reddit thread being like, man, Steadfast is kind of a dick.
I don't know. There hasn't really been any commentator that's like just publicly shit on another commentator or something.
Oh yeah, that's never happened.
Not since that one guy.
But I think I think we need to do. I think there's one
Which guy?
That was the reference.
Talking about how good they are. You know.
I am glad you brought up the co-streaming thing though, because I think I bothered to ask whether we thought it was be a good thing or a bad thing, and you know, its impact, and it's really not impactful at all very much. You know, the people who don't get hired for an event can now co-stream it, which is pretty nice. But I will say, having been part of the receiving end of Roddy's jokes, because I was with Demu, I actually felt way more self-conscious because I knew Roddy would be doing exactly that.
Interesting.
And I figured that everyone, like, basically you figure out that everyone does it to everyone if they're, you know, friendly in the green room. They'll say something stupid and they'll be like, you know, oh my God, what do they say? But I was really conscious of that all the time. Once feardragon told me that Roddy was watching us, I was like, I know exactly what Roddy is doing. And great, now I feel super self-conscious. So I didn't actually like it that much at the end of the day.
That's fair.
But obviously, it's a really weird situation where it's like, well, you don't mind the 10,000 people that watch you and make fun of you. It's like, I don't know, it's different. Shut up.
Because there's an element of authority, right? Like, yeah, there's an element of like he's the other expert, like, and he like has the most visibility as well. So like I can see that for sure.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, there are definitely things that he can get away with that. This is not saying anything about Roddy. He's fantastic.
Oh.
I love him.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, of course. But it was an aspect that I had never had to worry about before. Because even like actually like Roddy watches no matter what. So co-streaming was probably very, very helpful for him. But there wasn't the same. It's like casting a game versus watching it as a commentator, right? Like even if you watch it intently, there's a intimacy.
Which does make sense as well, like because he is a commentator, right? And one of the best commentators, so he's gonna be looking for that, like in particular. Like whereas, yeah. Well, like I can empathize on the player perspective, like when I would watch players, and I'd be like, oh my god, like how could you do that and stuff like that, and then at some point it's like, I wasn't good enough to do that, and then it's like you look back and it's like, wow, I was really
yeah.
mean.
Yeah. Oh, it's but that is a good additional point because I would say to any pro player who's ever played, like, don't watch the broadcasts. I don't think there's any reason to do so. Maybe you can watch them muted if you really think that going into your own replay won't be the same, but you guys don't think we're adding anything that you don't already know. And that's basically true. So why listen to the commentary? Maybe because you want to have fun.
It's still cool to see what people think.
But then if you're going to complain later about us saying something like, well, they didn't realize that I was performing at 1,000 actions per minute, and that's why I missed the Widowmine drop, you're going to be like, I
get it, ZombieGrub, but also when you see a thread that has your name in it being like, I have a problem with ZombieGrub's commentary or something, I know that you also click into that.
Yeah, but I'm saying that you shouldn't. And so what having a co-streamer like Roddy does is it brings the Reddit thread to me. You literally messaged me and said that he was doing that because you thought it was funny. And like, I'm not blaming you. This is just me airing out my grievances live. But it that was a consideration that I wasn't thinking of beforehand. And then it happened and I was like, oh, this isn't my favorite.
I completely understand that. Like at some point, like I got too many days on. I got too many days. I had like some days that I picked up on the regionals where I had like someone dropped off and they were like with 1 day in advance, hey, can you replace them? So I ended up doing like everyone had like 7 days or something, and I had like 9 days or something, or 10 days on most of the final ones. And then like on a show on his stream or something, like Roddy like talked about like how I was casting too much, basically. I think with Steadfast there too. Maybe it was a show of some kind. And he was like, wouldn't you like to cast more Steadfast? Like, why is CatZ casting so much, that type thing?
Oh, yeah.
And that felt like, and that felt like he also brought the Reddit thread to me, where it's like, well, I have to say something and like explain myself now because, he does put the spotlight, right? Like, because he has that presence in the scene. But it's also understandable that he would and should have this type of opinions because he is in the position to have this sort of opinions and like question these things. But like that was I feel you, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah. It's really not an important point. It's just I wanted to mention that does exist now, which was surprising. Because I watch other games co-streams, and what I found for the most part is that you have to listen to the commentators to a certain degree to listen to everything else. There's no different audio channels, which is Twitch chatters ask. And they completely ignore the commentators from what I've ever seen, right? Because they are not often the friends of the commentators. It's not like our scene where Roddy would usually be doing the event, but it's just completely ignoring. And it was like actual background noise where I know that Roddy is actually listening intently, especially when Demo is on. So
yeah. And infamously, I also played my part in this like early in StarCraft 2. I made a ranking list of commentators.
Oh
yeah,
God,
yeah, you did.
You did. Yeah, you did do that.
And that was mean as fuck. Yeah, but it genuinely pissed me off. Like as a player, like because I did watch and like listen and like there was like some massive gaps back then of. Yeah, like just, like game
I
moves and
understand.
stuff like that. Like,
Name
I
them.
understand. Wolf.
Oh, they were very
okay.
named.
He did. He literally
He
did.
literally named them. It's good.
yeah, and literally named each one of them with a number. Yeah, named and numbered. But it wasn't even my own ranking, right? The way that I washed my hands a little bit was I passed it on to 20 other players, like 20 top players, and I was like, okay, rate them. And then,
Dang.
I didn't fire the gun that killed him, Your Honor. I just sold them the guns, the bullets, and then told them where to shoot.
This is real murder on the
well, I
Orient
didn't
Express
tell them where
level
to
stuff,
shoot, right?
yeah.
I didn't tell them where to shoot. Like it was like they would have any shot that they wanted. It was just I just lined up the people.
This is literally
Yeah.
murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah.
You all took the
You got the
knife.
full lineup there going.
No, but I think we've all done something like that. Like I definitely find myself very agitated by some things said about commentators that I would like to fix. But if I were to fix it, it would be a negative thing. This person has a wonderful vocabulary. Do they know? Do they? No, but I don't want to say that because then I'm a dick, right? And I know all these people aren't my friends, but
Hey, ZombieGrub, I think it's fun to listen to you cast because I always learn new words when you're casting.
that was so stupid. Oh, I'm sorry, Team Liquid guy. I'm sorry.
Wait, what happened? I genuinely learn new words from Beomulf all the time. Is this a bad thing?
Beomulf is very much the guy who
Quidditch?
tries to use like uncommon
I don't
words.
try. I didn't have TV as a kid. I read too many books, and now I'm like, it's the problem. I'm sorry. It's not
The word-
Just do what I do and don't
You need to
read
watch
the word.
Captain Fantastic. You need to watch Captain Fantastic. It's very It sounds like you're.
The word
You're
pensive.
Yeah,
Pensive, yes.
Yeah.
Pensive.
that's not much of an SAT word, you know.
No, I didn't think so, but I like that the guy wanted to. You see, there's that effect that we're very off the rails at this point, but I feel like there's an effect that I've started to notice where it's like I'm so ingrained in the scene at this point. I get invited to a lot of events. I do a lot of the big matches, and that's wonderful. I'm amazing. But I do feel like over the last 10 years, the more that I've been ingrained in the scene, and maybe the better commentator as well, but I feel like it's just the fact that I've been here for so long. People give me a lot more stupid credit. You know what I mean? Does anyone else?
Is
don't know.
that
What do
credit
you
for
mean?
being
I
stupid
don't know.
or
No, like credit for something that I don't think deserves any credit, Like I don't think 5 years ago I would have used the same word and they would have been like ZombieGrub. Man, she's always teaching me words.
But I think it's you've solidified your position perceptually. So it's a lot easier for people to because overall the job is good, so they gotta latch onto a moment, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So
That's
they just
probably
latch
what
onto
it is. But
yeah.
anyway, moving on. So I'm a great commentator. Roddy's a bully. End
There we
story.
go. Is that
There's the clip.
is that
Perfect.
the new thumbnail?
Roddy's never a bully. Roddy is
Roddy's a sweetheart.
he's
yeah.
the
We all
best.
hate
He's
Roddy
the
in
best
this
of all of us. So we do have Atlanta though, and obviously the most recent. So just a month ago, not even. And it was a wonderful event. We had another tearful Terran on the stage. Big
Man, that was
applause to
nice.
everyone who shows their emotions.
Quite thing.
I for one do not like doing so. If I won the championship and I wanted to cry, I would have jigged my way off the stage. Come back later. But it was a really quite touching moment. There was a couple of there's a couple of stories, I guess, that we can tell. We're all there. You're looking at all the commentators, sans Roddy, which is why we're making fun of him. And the moment that stands out to me is when they told us that the crowd wasn't going to be there
Mhm.
for the
It's
finals.
wild. Yeah.
And we
Yes.
were like, excuse
And
me?
we weren't supposed to mention it either. Yeah.
Oh, no, we weren't supposed to mention it during the tournament. I mean, maybe we weren't supposed to mention it at
Why-
all.
that would be weird. Yeah.
But of course, during the tournament, that would have been very. There's no good way of putting it, and then it
Yeah.
would have also.
There's no crowd, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as you guys saw, there was a crowd. So basically,
Yeah.
things happened in an unfortunate way, and then it sounds like Alex and the crew really pulled a miracle out of their ass and got it so that they could stay till the very end. I don't know what they
was-
did to do it, but go ahead.
It was literally a Christmas miracle.
It was.
It was.
Yeah,
Literally.
Like by every it was the textbook definition of a Christmas miracle.
I actually really want to make sure and highlight and be like, Alex saved our asses on this because
100%.
Yeah.
it's the venue has rules about this. There's like a time for teardown that's reserved as well for the DreamHack as a company. There's security people that just work at the venue. There was a lot of pressure from what I understand that like we had to like evacuate out. Every single booth of every single like stage, everywhere, every vendor and everything had left or like was basically kicked out at that point.
No,
And
vendors could stay. Vendors could stay. It's just like you, but that's the whole
I didn't
point.
see
think
any of the
is
vendor booths
audience.
open.
They were
Well,
tearing
we
down.
we had a show match right after. Like
Oh, you
at
had a
our
show
booth.
match after the thing?
Yeah.
Wait,
With
but
Clem.
that was Saturday,
No,
right?
that was Saturday. You're
Oh.
right. That was Saturday.
Oh,
That
yeah,
was
sorry,
Saturday.
sorry,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
no, I
but that
was
was
thinking Sunday.
also very much after hours. Yeah, very much after.
Ah,
hours.
yeah. But like I still just like massive because it's one of those behind the scenes things of like people won't even know necessarily that like this was the case and this was going to be happening. But like I feel like Alex deserves a lot of credit on that one.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
literally
Yeah.
actually saved one of like I don't want to say like one of the best moments of the year because we already just talked about like some freaking incredible moments like Oliveira and like Gamers 8 and all this other stuff. But like
I mean, this year
definitely
started
a
very
top
strong
moment.
and ended very strong. Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
I
yeah,
think it's
it
fair
was
to say it was
kind
still one of the best
sealed,
moments.
Yeah.
It-
maybe second best or
like
yeah,
it would
in
like there was at
contention, yeah.
least 3 or 4 of those top 25 game of the year games happened
Yeah.
at Atlanta, you know.
Some
like-
insane games. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the quality of play was very good, and this was after also a week of Katowice qualifiers, which were also
Mhm.
insanely skillful. Like some of the best StarCraft, even with the Cyclones included, which were memes.
Yeah.
And
Talking about that going into Atlanta, the one like looking back, one of the reasons you're like, wow, Clem's got it this time. He beat Dark in an EPTNA, which you don't think about is all that crazy, but he won a game on Oceanborn when as the Terran he was down about 500 resources when he won the game. He had lost more resources than his Zerg had and still beat Dark, which is just that doesn't happen. A Terran wins a game because they're up 10, 15k, 7k, depending on when the game ends. And he was down to 500, 1,000 or something and still won the game.
I think his trajectory was
Mhm.
nothing but up this entire year.
Oh, yeah,
and
100%.
then
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
he really did ascend to the next level
Mhm.
twice this year, I want to say, where it was like making it to the finals but not winning consistently, and then winning consistently, and then winning in super dominant fashion. That would be my 2 levels for Clem this year.
It reminded me of I don't know if anyone else felt this way. It reminded me of 2020 Clem, where like I don't know if you remember that was like when everything was online because of COVID and stuff. But there was like there's just that sick stream of European regionals where Clem would just be like makes it like gradually further and further and just like gradually gets closer and closer and like the very last season he finally ends up like winning it for the first time.
I was
Oh
gonna
yeah.
I was going to say this reminds me, somebody in the chat just said it. It reminds me more of late 2017, early 2018 Cyril, where it felt like this inevitability and everyone was like, oh, he's like, the best player in the world. But he like couldn't make it happen. And then finally BlizzCon rolled around and he just kind of showcased this level of play that we hadn't seen before.
Except even with that one, like Cyril was winning everything in 2018
Yeah.
before BlizzCon.
Yeah, that's the difference here. Going into this event, it was I think Cyril was still the favorite over Clem.
Oh
right?
yeah. I mean,
He
he'd
was.
beaten Clem 2 series in a row in ESL regionals.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually talked a lot with Clem, like prior to the event. Like we talked about like Home Story Cup when he was gonna go, and I asked if he was gonna win, and he said no. He didn't say no.
Oh.
He said, "I'm just gonna have fun. Atlanta is the real deal," is what he said. So he was very much looking forward, like to Atlanta and preparing for Atlanta. And I said, "Okay, are you gonna win that?" And he said, "I hope so, but I need to get better at TVC." And when I asked him if anyone was giving him trouble other than Juna, he said, "It's mostly just Cyril, right? But he has to be able to beat him." And then we had like a longer conversation. So I'm not gonna read all of it, but basically, I thought it was super interesting because the way that he was describing was a way that I've never had to think about because I've never been nearly as good as he is, right? So there is a position where a player becomes so good that their strategy changes from I'm good at this matchup, I'm bad at this matchup to I need to be better against this specific player and exactly what they do. Because if you want to win, you have to be that one guy. So Clem had a debacle that was basically, does he practice for TBT where he can still lose and there's so many Terrans that are super strong? Or does he practice specifically to try to beat Cyril since he knows he can beat every other Zerg? And I know that he started with TBT, but he thought that there was time to prep for Cyril. And yeah, obviously like he did. And and he made it happen. So it was like all the more exciting, like watching it happen and whatnot. And we didn't have like another conversation about it like since then. So to me, it was just like a gap of time where like I don't know how he feels going into the event, and yeah, clearly he felt great. So that was awesome.
I mean, I haven't seen a late game Terran of that skill. Like we were talking about game 4, game 5 against, or game 3, game 4 against Cyril. I haven't seen something like that since, when was this? Since like 2021 Maru.
Yeah.
When
I think this was, and I think a lot of Terrans, higher level Terrans, will probably agree. I think this was the highest level late
Agreed.
game TVZ
Highest
we've
ever,
ever
probably,
seen.
yeah, no,
From the Terran perspective, I don't think we've seen a Terran player play better than this ever.
yeah.
And when I asked Clem like what was the problem, right? Like with Juna, like how do you beat him? Like how do you study him? He was like, well, he doesn't really lose in the matchup. And then I checked the Aliu, like, and he really doesn't lose in the matchup.
No, he doesn't.
And the only losses are to Clem. So it's like you would have to study yourself. So it's like, how do you beat him when you beat him? And he's like, I don't even know, right? Like I know what I have to do, but it's so difficult because he felt like he had to do exactly what you guys are saying: get to the late game and play basically like as close to perfect as you can. Like he felt like he always could win but made mistakes, right? So it was never about like how do I beat the strategy. It's about like just optimizing to play that little bit better and trade that little bit better. And it was awesome that he managed to do that.
If you want to pinpoint like one thing that I think we saw him improve upon in this tournament versus others, is he was against Cyril, he was consistently scanning, dropping honestly even more than one scan. Like look at what he does right here. The fight goes in, he drops a scan on the army because he knows that Cyril is so, his late game is so dependent on these sneaky infestor plays. That's how he beat Clem in the regionals. That's how he beats a lot of Terrans. So he was, I think, more than I've seen him doing really most other games. He was just consistently dropping sometimes even 2-3 scans on a fight just to make sure he's not caught off guard by the sneaky infestor that changes the fight and changes the game.
Absolutely.
For me, it was a little bit different than that. It was because there was actually multiple times in this game where the infestor got that fungal. He made sure it never landed twice.
Yes.
There was never a second fungal that allowed for enough that allowed for an actual like kill, which was very impressive. Because the first one can land and that allows the Zerg to start the engagement, but if the second one doesn't land, you can't follow through and actually kill the ghosts. But it was honestly, it was just a ridiculous showing from Clem. Like it was truly the pinnacle of TVZ.
Yeah,
no, absolutely. Go on.
I took another look at this. I recast the series last night for YouTube and whatever. And the thing that was really obvious, more than like I think it was game 4, and you're looking at it's like Clem's got 20 ghosts and you're 23 minutes in, and he had only lost about 18 ghosts the entire game. Like the ability to play a late game TVZ, and granted, Oceanborn game was a little bit better, but to play a late game TVZ like that, this is such a good play too. The scan to snipe the infestor, it's great, but. To lose less ghosts than you have on the field in this late game when you're playing against Cyril it's ridiculous. Like it's so important to keep those alive, and that longevity. I mean,
and the other thing is like we started a story earlier where we were saying Cyril brought his cool builds, right? Like in this matchup, the cool thing that he developed basically is something maybe, I mean, you could call it a dark offshoot to some degree because he was doing roach openings into things like lurkers and stuff like that, and they were successful where most European Zergs felt like the roach opening wasn't good, right? It was just easier and just kind of a dark type gimmick where it's like it's easy to execute, so he pulls it off type thing because, he's known for stuff like that, like not being super efficient and whatnot. But in reality, like the roach thing ended up being the goated strategy for Cyril because he just wants to get to the late game. And roaches are the easiest way and the safest way and the least investment type way that you can get into late game in CVT. And what Clem was explaining to me is that the difference between Cyril and every other Zerg player is that he wants to play CVT late game, whereas every other Zerg doesn't want to do that. From Clem's perspective, as he was explaining, and obviously I'm just like the simplest way that I can say this, because I'm sure there's a lot more nuance to it. But the thing is, he had to overcome Cyril late game to win this. Like Cyril set a win condition for Terrans by going roaches, which was it's gonna be extremely difficult to kill me, or like I won't say impossible because Beyond did do it one game. But yeah, like it's what the strategy is meant to do, is get him to the late game to where he's supposed to be the best, and that's where he got bested, which makes it all the more impressive, I think.
Yeah. That's that was best of 5 to remember. Yeah. I was there when Kolaris left the room thinking it was over, and then when he came back, I was just pointing at the screen. Kolaris was like, "What? It's still on."
Cyril maxed out. It was like at one point he was up 70 supply.
Yeah. I'm looking at it right now. He's literally up 66 supply to 152. I mean,
You're insulting Kolaris ego here. He type question marks. I'm gonna defend him. I'm gonna say really quick. I don't know how he does it, but every time in the green room, I'm watching the screen and I'm like, okay, this game could be over anytime. Then Kolaris is just sitting there. But then as soon as Kolaris starts getting up, I know, the game is actually about to end. Like he actually has a...
Well, he went to go to the bathroom.
Sense where... I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't know why he question marked. He literally was the one who said this like 10 minutes ago. No, I'm not calling him out at all. Like we all thought it was over. 60 supply difference. He leaves the room to go to the bathroom because it's it's not the end of the series. So you didn't have to go to the desk. And he comes back, and I literally am holding his position, like pointing at the screen so that he sees me when he comes back.
Nice.
Yeah.
Although, to be fair, because I have this really recently in my mind, once Cyril built that lead, he took some horrible fights. He just he face tanked 3 tanks around a corner when he could have taken the rocks down and taken a much better angle into the fight. Just like Clem played the highest level Terran I think we've ever seen. I will heartily agree, but that you can't. It's not like he had the 3 arrows because Clem wasn't mining. His economy was not incredible. He couldn't afford to do what he was doing.
I don't know what rocks you're talking about. I guess the ones that really over
he
to the
couldn't
right
have taken
side,
down any rocks there.
The rocks on the right side.
He did take those down.
No, they're not. They're up right now. Like
No,
that.
Go back.
That
Go
angle,
back like
there's
10
a
seconds.
choke.
They're literally down.
They are down. There's a choke where it's traversable. Right word? But
ZombieGrub just say that Cyril choked.
Yes.
there's rocks. It's a big choke, and there's rocks on the right side and no rocks on the left. Steadfast is right. Yeah. See?
Because there's 2 chokes in the little valley.
Yeah.
Well,
but I coming from that angle wouldn't have it would have helped him, but he made the mistake of not taking the fight actually. I would do better, Cyril. No, but seriously, he didn't realize 3 tanks are going to be on the high ground defending that, right? So I mean, he does waste a lot of resources doing this, but if he had skipped the orbital and went right for the tanks, the rest of the army wasn't around as of yet. The tanks would have been alone, bombarded by the minor amount of lings he had. Then the army would have come in. Like it could have maybe killed him, but I don't think it's because he didn't use this choke over to the right side. He killed the orbital and was like, "Oh, good enough," and then left, which I think was a wise decision.
But he didn't kill the orbital. Well, he did eventually, yeah.
Yeah, but I think he was trying to be wise about it, right? He knew the ghost would be on the way. He knew there was probably something more. Of course, he doesn't know there's a 30 army supply difference before this fight, whatever.
Yeah, and the other thing is behind these tanks, you can't see it on screen, but there's a planetary right south of them.
Right, which
he also doesn't know where the army is, how far behind it is on the tank. So you're really this was not a throw from Cyril. I don't think.
At this point,
this was like calling this a throw is like it's really doing negative credit to Clem, and I don't think that's fair.
Well,
if it wasn't for those 3 tanks, then Cyril keeps Clem from taking this base. And he just wins the game, and we're not talking about this run.
I think he realized after the first and a half fight that maybe he could go up that ramp, but then that is when the army is there. That's when he's like, "Oh fuck, that's not going to work out." And that's when I think he really looks like he overexerted himself. But there's definitely a lot of reasons, little micro decisions going into that, so why that happens. It's absolutely beautiful.
It's also super hard. Like this is not a normal situation that they're in, right? Like they're 30 minutes in to a split map scenario where liberators have been harassing outlying bases. You don't know how many resources you've lost exactly. You don't know how many resources your opponent has lost exactly. You don't know what their bank is. You know what your bank is, but like it's really hard to make the exact right call. So it's like, yeah, calling it a throw from this position, I think, is a little unfair. A little
Definitely
bit.
not a throw.
I don't think I said
Beanbag
well,
toss.
if I said throw, I didn't mean to. It's more like he took some really bad fights and he.
Yeah, that's what you said. You just said he took
Yeah.
bad fights, and you're right, he did.
Fair.
But then we got caught up on like the choke or not. But I don't think that was the issue. Anyway, like obviously Clem staying as mindful as he was in that scenario, very, very good. Because he was also harassing while he was down 60 supply. And then Cyril usually would be applauded with such decision making as that. Usually that would be the right thing to do. But even he makes a mistake every now and again, right? And I think CatZ, you said you talked to Cyril after. Or someone did, and he just said I need to execute better.
I didn't talk to Cyril.
Someone talked to Cyril, I believe, after, and the comment that he made was literally just like, I just need to execute better. Like,
That does sound like a very Cyril thing to say.
There wasn't
after.
like a
It does sound like a
strategy
Cyril thing, yeah.
difference. There wasn't
Yeah.
like a, oh, I was sick. There wasn't any excuses. It was just,
No, of
you know,
course.
what can he
yeah.
do to beat him next time? And he was like, execute better. So,
That is
Cyril
that
is so awesome.
Yeah, he's so awesome.
Like-
That's
yeah, the games, there's a lot of really good games. People ask me all the time, like, what was my favorite game from a tournament and stuff. And I don't know what it would be that I did, but Cyril vs. Clem is the one that I wish I was casting. It was pretty cool. And I guess we haven't really talked about Atlanta. There was no Atlanta post-show. There were just holidays immediately after. So there were a couple of interesting things that happened in Atlanta, besides Clem winning. This was obviously a... What? Oh, Year of Hearthstone.
Sorry, I was just saying something, but you're going. Keep talking. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was going to talk about the players anymore. Fuck those guys.
Oh, okay. Oh, I was just gonna say Year of Hearthstone.
Yeah.
Hearthstone popped off this event. Fuck yeah.
Both off.
I want to bring it up.
Vindicta.
He did, yeah.
Oh, true.
Yeah,
Vindicta.
Vindicta.
had a great
Mana
run.
took down Hero. There was some shout outs to be made in the open bracket in earlier stages. It was kind of wild.
I also just want to say like the open bracket tournament that happened at Atlanta was also
Sal.
like not only really sick.
Yeah.
Well, also like I mean Dolan, but like I had like a fun moment where I like looked at that and I'm like Dolan, Mixu, I think it was, and Sal looking at the prize money that they earned from the open bracket tournament, and I'm like, here are all of the premier tournament players that won less money than them because they just
Yeah.
like popped off. And it was like actually a pretty sick list.
And then, yeah, Hearthstone defeated Raynor, which
Beast. Yeah.
Roddy came back to the green room and was like, oh, 3-1? And I was like, yeah, 3-1. He was like, oh, okay. What game did Raynor lose? And I was like, 3 of them? He's like, oh, Hearthstone beat Raynor. I was like, yeah. So that was a pretty funny moment. I guess Roddy had only caught like portions of the series. But Winter.
Hearthstone
What
had
cards
been,
did you all get? I got it.
Hearthstone had been flirting with beating Raynor for a while, so it was kind of cool to see. A little bit unfortunate that it happened with Raynor being like super under the weather, but Hearthstone's been looking really good in PvZ.
So
Yeah,
that
Hearthstone should've
day,
beaten Raynor
actually,
in regional.
just to really clarify, actually, that day, Raynor said that he felt really good, actually.
Oh,
Yeah, Roddy was talking about it, and that's why he thought that Raynor won as well. Was that he was like, oh yeah, he was like definitely feeling bad yesterday, but he had good rest and he's feeling pretty good today, something along those lines, and he still lost. So it was pretty shocking for Roddy and Raynor. But
like I think what I really did enjoy about it was it felt like Hearthstone was just playing like a much higher level than even he usually does, which is really sick. I feel like it's just like a really weird random thing where Hearthstone just pops off sometimes, and it's just like, oh,
He does.
damn, you're like. You just look like you're playing like 500 or more better than usual.
yeah, he's popping off more consistently, it feels like, right? There's this event, there's Home Story Cup, and there's a couple of online tournaments. So
Yeah.
I think he's due for like a really solid run at a tournament. I don't think he's gonna reach Firefly levels anytime soon, but like I think he could definitely do really well.
Even
that
Classic
transition.
couldn't hit Firefly levels.
oh my god, this stupid meme.
I mean, Firefly. Can we do predictions for 2024? Does Firefly win
Oh
a
my
premier tournament?
god.
Does
Is he even
Firefly
going
four?
to Katowice?
Does Firefly qualify, make it to top 4 in a Premier
Oh,
tournament?
he is
I think
going to
that's I think that's
Katowice.
the threshold.
All right,
Okay.
Beomulf.
What's the vote here?
Yeah.
Like I vote
Okay.
Firefly will make top 4 at a Premier
How-
tournament this year.
How
I think he'll make top
strongly do I
8.
put my pants on my head for this prediction? How
Say
wrong
that
do
you'll
I
eat a
want to
shoe
be?
if you're wrong.
Top 4 or no?
God.
That's an easy
Like,
question.
How
There's a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, like how much do I want to get mocked by ZombieGrub for the next month if I about this? Firefly makes the finals of Katowice. There we go. That's
Oh
that's
my
my
god.
Jesus Christ.
We set the table for you're insane, and you were like, no, I'm insane.
Yeah.
God.
No, I think
Good on you
realistic.
for leaning
I
into
think
it.
it's a realistic to say he gets out of groups, or at
Yeah.
least gets very close to getting out of groups. I think that's a pretty realistic.
I
result
think
for
that's
him.
realistic. Yeah.
I think,
think that's
it'll depend a lot on the groups, but yeah, like
He's
if he
good,
gets
he's good.
if he gets a few Protoss in his group and one beatable Zerg or Terran, he can absolutely make it out of his groups. 100%.
Yeah, I think the stage is set
Okay.
for him to make kind of like a 2021 Young run where it's not expected, but I think
I
it's
ask you-
not unreasonable.
Can I ask you, Bale?
Yeah.
Can you look at that list of participants
Yeah.
and tell me which players you think Firefly is favored against?
Did I say favorite? I see here.
Uh,
Here's the thing, Ravi. I didn't say he's favored. I said it's realistic that he could do it.
Then
And
he
I
must
think
be
he's favored
favored
against
against people, plural, if he's
He's
favored against
realistically
Favored
capable.
against probably
He
Spirit.
can
Definitely
beat-
favored against Trigger.
Let's
favored
let's
against
look up the
Scarlet.
stats here.
I actually
He
do think
can
he's
beat
favored against
Skillers,
more
he can
people
beat
on this list
Showtime.
than you'd
Yeah,
expect.
no.
All
And
right.
stats
Yeah,
are not
he's
going to
really
matter.
good.
He's
He's
popped
really
off
good.
in like the last
Three
month or so.
that I'm like, I could see
Firefly.
this.
Three?
Last few
Three.
months.
I actually
I think he's
that's
favored
really
against
low.
Cyan.
He has never won against Scarlet.
What's the
What other
percentage
name did you
chance?
throw
Like
out
the
there?
last-
What is the percentage
that was
chance?
March
What's-
22nd is the last time they played.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, what's the
Firefly got
percentage
good
chance?
That's
in
April.
October.
Just to correct you, that's 4 is April.
Don't. Hey, look. Dates are hard.
But
okay?
go on. Who's other people? Who's other people?
But wait. What's
Calizer?
the percentage chance that Aligula gives? Not the priors, because he's on
Okay,
fire.
sure.
That's why he's
Sure,
a
sure,
Firefly.
sure, sure.
I don't think like past performance. This is one of the things where it doesn't really matter because
That's-
he's
that's
popped off since.
How?
Let's believe.
Okay,
Like
all
I
right.
think this is
Best
this
of
is
best of
still-
three.
Wait,
right?
let's see. Best of
Okay,
three.
yeah,
let's see.
I'm getting to it. Just calm down.
Okay.
Jesus Christ. There's an even
See?
chance, but
Yeah?
Scarlet technically has more chance. I don't know why it's an even
Yeah,
chance.
but well, probably because she's won like 7 times in a row and still barely favored.
But
Let's
she
try
is
other people, let's try
favored.
other-
Okay, who else?
Barely, yeah.
Who else was it?
Calizer.
Calizer. Okay, let's check it out.
Calizer.
I think you could say he
Slight advantage for Calizer. Okay, all right. Who else?
Slide.
Even more than versus Scarlet.
I don't believe that,
this is
but
the
okay. Like
I mean, this is
Calizer
there's
also
trajectory.
is doing well. Calizer almost took down Maru.
Calizer, yeah, that's true.
Calizer's
Calizer's
trending
trajectory
up.
is also
I
Calizer
think
is also
Trigger-
rising.
I would say Trigger, but not because I think Trigger. I think in like a vacuum, if they're
Ooh,
just playing
finally
like
you
an
got
online
one.
match, if they were just playing an
Got you.
online match, I would give
Oh,
Trigger
wow,
this
destroyed.
criticism.
Destroyed Trigger.
But I think offline, I feel like Trigger's still been struggling to do his
the
best
thing is,
performance.
both of them are like, we don't even know if Firefly he might literally go to an offline tournament and he just forgets how to use his hands. Like that is
Yeah.
a real thing that happens. He is completely untested. He has
No,
never, and that's
he
why
played-
for me it's so insane. It's
And
actually
there's
not
the-
his level
and
of
there's
play.
the ping and the jet lag.
Well, no, because he
No,
does
no,
have
but-
like one offline tournament experience. He played in like a golden team. He played in like one of the golden tournaments back in like.
Yeah, that was
COVID.
the one that like Hearthstone won, right?
I think so.
The
I don't know if there's the one that
league?
Hearthstone won,
Gold
but
team
yeah,
league?
Hearthstone won one of those.
You know what?
Yeah.
We'll discuss more when we get to Katowice pre-show. We're on the Atlanta post-show. Get it right. Firefly memes aside. Atlanta players. Hearthstone played great. Oliveira did okay. Obviously, meeting Cyril was very difficult. The one guy he didn't face in Katowice. Clem winning is the biggest story. Also, everyone was sick, apparently, is also another story. I did not get sick. I dodged. Dodged and
Me
weaved.
too.
Same. I was very happy.
Yo,
with
let's go.
Nice.
Boba diet.
It's not.
that.
Okay. Anyway.
Everyone who had a boba didn't get sick.
How many
I
pounds
never had a
did you
boba.
lose, Ravi, on the boba
You-
diet?
you had a
What was the
boba, right?
tweet?
I did not have a boba. I don't even really
I
like
didn't
boba.
have a boba.
I had 4 bobas in
Oh,
one day.
I might have had a sip of a boba. Oh, you know what? I might
boba.
believe this. Results-oriented thinking?
Yeah, let's
There
go.
we go.
feardragon is a wee bit of a idiot. So
Wow.
yeah.
An idiot.
I didn't want to use it, but I couldn't think of another word.
I have a keychain that explains what I am. This is something I got recently. See if you can read
Idiot
it.
is a
Come on.
fine word, right?
Yeah, I know it's a fine word. I mean, it's a bit harsh. What is that? Is that
Basic
a, is that a,
boba.
oh, it's a
Zoom and
boba
enhance.
bar.
Basic
me a little
boba
while.
bitch.
Yeah,
that what it
There you go.
says?
Dave got it.
He's a basic boba bitch.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's just a little
Valid.
keychain thing.
All right, cool.
So we can. Oh my God, is he trying to take over the branding of Big Brain Bouts? Is there some kind of beef between Roddy and feardragon?
Oh
I
my!
mean-
I mean,
see that.
actually, yeah, I have a massive problem with him because I was on board with him, but then I heard all these terrible things about his co-streaming, and I was like, wow, I
Oh.
can't believe he was saying all those terrible things about ZombieGrub. And now I'm like,
So
I'm
mean.
super anti-Roddy.
A couple of things that happened. I was gonna say that obviously we had some new faces on the broadcast team, so everyone was very kind and excited to see you guys cast Atlanta. Katowice is not had its talent roster released, but everyone has been contacted. And how would I know that? I don't shut up. And then what else was I gonna say? I mean that CatZ directly addressed a little bit of the pseudo drama on Team Liquid.
Yeah, there was some pseudo drama for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, I was told that I wasn't casting on the last day and that I was better on the desk, and that was really sad for me because I felt like the feedback for my casting is usually pretty strong. Like I felt like it wasn't my strongest on the first day, but then I feel like it picked off, and I feel like just reading the chat is really depressing because I was told that I that I wasn't good enough to cast on the last day, right? And then I try to look for that and try to see it in the chat and in the comments and try to figure out what I could have done better and it's I'm sure obviously there are many things that I could have done better and I'm not as plugged as I was before with StarCraft because I have other responsibilities and such. But I think I did do a good job and it was pretty sad for me not to get to cast and sideline, especially with the matchups, and they were all so sick. Like any of those games, I was so happy.
Yeah, it was a different way of choosing the commentators this time. So it's not usually how it would have been done, but I think you handled it well with your blog post, just being honest about your feelings and all that. I enjoyed commentating with you, but I think I only did it once.
Thank you. Only once, and it was the TVT. You carried the shit out of that one. Yeah, that was.
These
was a tough
TVTs
series,
were they were
fun,
something,
yeah.
that's for sure.
Nah.
They were.
I remember being on the desk afterwards with Colaris after the one TVT where it was
wild,
Mass Cyclone. And one of the games was not, like game 5 of the series was not. And he was like, okay, why did they not go Mass Cyclone? And we're like, fuck, I don't know. And he was like, that's not good enough. We need to have an answer for why they didn't go Mass Cyclone. We're like, I guess the chokes are a little tighter on this match. And he's like, people aren't going to buy that. They just agreed to not go Mass Cyclone simultaneously. And it was like, kind of in our headcanon was like, yeah, that kind of seems right. Like, it felt like there was no good reason for them to not go Mass Cyclone in game 5. I think it was on Solaris.
That was 2 straight TVTs where like they did all the Cyclone shenanigans for 4 games in a row. It was Maru. No, it was 2 TVTs on Saturday, and then game 5 they're like, no, we're going bio. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
Like just seemingly at random. Like it. Obviously, if we give it enough time, the meta will evolve. People will figure it out. But it did feel like very much like, all right, we've played 4 meme games. Let's play a real TVT now so that people don't hate us forever.
It's like rotating your tires, but like for your keyboard, if you just use the lock-on button too much, then your keyboard lock-on button, like the C key, will just start breaking. So you have to like throw in some bio games every so often.
Oh,
It's like rotating your tires, make sure that it wears evenly.
Am I wrong in that like
tasteless thumbnail? Can we go back? Can you back a couple screens to the thumbnails,
I
please?
What?
Wait.
what? What?
That's
Oh
brilliant.
Okay, now
my
you're definitely
God.
demonetized, ZombieGrub.
No, he blurred the nipples. It's fine.
Okay, no, yeah, you're right.
That's the whole point.
Every that thumbnail
How old is that video?
top tier.
4 days.
Oh,
4
yeah,
days old.
super new.
Top tier,
Super
top
new.
tier. Yeah.
That
Wait, but that's
the
after
expression.
that's
I'll
after
get so many
Twitch
views,
changed
so
the
many
rules, so
views.
you
Oh
can't
my
do that
God.
anymore.
Jesus. Well,
But it's
I
not YouTube,
demonetized.
so it's okay.
I just had so much trouble finding this match on the actual Twitch VODs. So, but yeah, this was the Cyclone, and then suddenly not Cyclone, and we have no idea why. And I still don't. I mean, I talked briefly with CatZ, and CatZ was actually like really like he was not a fan of the style, not just because he thinks it's stupid, but he was like, no, it's not a good style. I don't know why the Koreans are doing it. And he was pretty adamant about it because he almost beat Maru by going for the style that he believes is correct, which is, just basically Marine tank and then make sure you move out slowly and carefully.
Yeah.
Which, I've discussed this at length on my own stream when casting some other TPTs, which I haven't done a lot of since Atlanta, but I did one on Monday. And I was like, I don't know if he's right. I don't know if Cure's right. I don't know if Maru's right. I don't know if Cyclones are going to stay or if they're going to go. But I can say that we did see people try and do the regular TVT when the other guy was playing Cyclones, I suppose, efficiently. And it didn't seem like it was working. But then what I found really funny is that Coliseum is like, this is before the semifinals. So I asked him about the Cyclones, and he said, yeah, I don't think it's that good. And then he said, if it was 2 Korean Terrans in the finals, you'd see it. But even though I don't think it's very good, Clem loves Cyclones. So if it is Clem versus Cure in the finals, it'll probably be nothing but Cyclones. And I said, God damn it, Diego. Don't tell me that. Fortunately, it wasn't the TVT finals.
Yeah, that would have been scary.
But since Clem loves Cyclones and he uses them so well, it would have devolved into this again. But I can't explain why Maru and Cure and then Beyond even got involved in it too. We're going for this so religiously because the other thing was that like it really still felt like they were also figuring it out. Like literally Cure
for sure.
was like mass Cyclone, right? And then Maru added a couple of tanks in the second game and looked far better. He added in tanks like slightly faster, just at a safe timing. And I was like, yeah, that's usually what you're supposed to do. It's like this meta has technically existed before, but very different Cyclones. But then, like you said, they just decided on game 5 to both not go for it. So I think I even asked Coliseum, I was like, is it the maps? Is it the choke? And he was like, nah. Maybe.
just
You know.
comfort
He
zone or
also
something.
didn't know.
Yeah, it was just the weirdest thing. Like it felt like a prank on the commentators as much as anything. Where they were like, let's see these idiots figure this out.
Am I wrong though? And like, yeah, obviously Clem Gumiho was a bad series, but the rest of those Cyclone games, I actually like Cure Maru that ZG just set up. I really enjoyed watching those. Like, I don't want to see it for the next 3 months, but watching meta develop in real time is fantastic for I really enjoy that.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was just
sure.
scary. It was just scary. It was just scary that the meta could have been just the Cyclone. So it was nice to get a breath of fresh air, like you're saying when it's evolving and when there's ideas against them and stuff like that, right? Like
I would also say that it wasn't very fun when there is a drastic win or loss, I guess, depending on your point of view. Like the game on Radicet. I don't know if it was between Byun and Cure or Maru and Cure. But there's a game. Yeah, because Byun Cure actually I think was really fun. But there's another one where like the one person got massively far ahead with Cyclones after winning a couple early game skirmishes, and the other person still went Cyclones as well. And then there was no real comeback mechanic. There was no interesting comeback mechanic. There was just literally pushing Cyclones into your opponent and then deciding to turtle with tanks, which I think is far less entertaining. But then again, there was the Byun Cure series in which there was a lot of back and forth and a lot of backstabbing and run-bys with Cyclones, and that was kind of entertaining. So I don't know. I just know that if it continues happening, there's no way it's going to be appreciated. TVT, Marine, Tank, Medevac, Raven occasionally, depending on the meta. Tried and true for 14 years of StarCraft 2. It's not the best matchup all the time, but it is okay. And so, Cyclones, I do not believe will be the same thing.
So here's my question for you then, CG. Given the choice, Cyclone meta TVT, Phoenix meta PvP. Because I think I'll still take the Cyclones. Like Phoenix, I'm okay with a mass Cyclone series.
Okay,
I'm okay
sure.
with at most like one Phoenix game in a best of 5
Okay.
every other month.
But there's no point to that question. I don't get to exchange TVTs for PvPs every time I get to cast something. So what's the point?
We're talking about painful mirror matchups.
So in so basically, ZombieGrub, you're saying that getting stabbed in the stomach is worse than getting stabbed in the chest. And I'm like, all right, yeah, it is. I heard that's more painful. You're right.
It feels like Phoenix versus Phoenix though. Like the better player can consistently win. Whereas it feels like hang on. It feels like the player who executes better, because I've watched a lot of MaxPax's Phoenix PvP, and I know that his target fire, the way he does it, is really, really clean and impressive. Where it feels like in those mass Cyclone battles, you just throw the armies at each other, you smoosh them into one another, and then whatever happens. Like it doesn't feel like
position is important, but always there's not.
It doesn't feel like there's a whole lot that you can do.
There's no micro
early,
because there's
in the very early Cyclone stages, when you make like 8 Cyclones, you do a Cyclone drop. That's an extremely high skill expression.
Yeah.
But then when you get to mass Cyclone, where you're on like 7, 8 factories and you're just throwing shit at each other, it felt like it was literally just. You could not interpret the fights even with full information as the commentators.
It's because they're fat, clunky Marines, right? So if both players are taking fights, then if both players are deciding to take the fight, there's no splash or anything else, then they both think they can win. So it's always going to be surprising to everyone, like to some degree, right? Except maybe the player that actually does win the fight.
It's also homogenous, isn't it? It's literally the same unit for a majority of the game. And even if you're like, well, Marine tank medevac isn't that different. Medevac's are just healing all the time. It is very different. The tank siege up, the tank target fire, the Marine concave, the Marine target fire,
even
the
just
dynamic
Marine versus Marine would be
shield.
better,
Yeah, do I lift with my medevacs into the main? Like,
yeah, exactly. Because Cyclones are chunky, so you can't even do like small micro moments because the auto lock-on is instant, right? Like there's no delay, so it's pointless to go back, especially knowing that you may not be able to come back in, like to push. It feels like if there's enough Cyclones, so it
feels like the amount of influence a good player can have on a Cyclone versus Cyclone fight when it's mass Cyclone versus mass Cyclone.
It's just positioning.
Is so little. Yeah, it's so little for the level of StarCraft 2, and it's so silly.
It's positioning and it's pressing the button. It's kind of like mass charge lot against mass charge lot type stuff, right? Like it's like you can get a better concave, you can, but with Cyclones it's a little more binary.
Even in PvP, even in Phoenix versus Phoenix, not just the micro, but like the fact that you have to chrono boost your Phoenixes, like it's such a more tight, and this is the this shit. Fuck this. God damn. Actually,
at least there's some
PTSD. Here, like, and I didn't even cast it. Like, it was just so stupid. But like at least with Phoenix versus Phoenix, like there is a lot of subtlety to it. And
I think there's here's my 2 cents on that. I think Phoenix versus Phoenix, I agree. Up to a certain point, there's subtlety to it, and then I think it becomes very similar to Cyclone, where there's the initial thing of how you start the fight. But like when you have 12 Phoenix versus like 12 Phoenix, like your Phoenix are just basically getting like one shot. There's not anyone that is really like microing their Phoenix super duper well.
That's
pulling back units and stuff.
That's untrue.
That is
untrue. Is always
when there's like
he will always
12
win
to
those
14
fights
Phoenix
unless he's up against Showtime.
No, like
You're
literally,
actually,
feardragon. Literally on Monday there was another PvP Showtime versus MaxPax, and they did the same thing they did in the regionals. And this time, for some reason, MaxPax won like no problem. But you could see them get up to 14 Phoenix, and they'd both be the same time. And Showtime sometimes was even on his side of the map, so Defender's advantage technically. And because MaxPax was constantly active with a balled up group of Phoenix and target firing, he won the Phoenix Wars.
That is something that you can. That is the micro, yes.
But that's what I mean though. But like when I say the pre-engagement stuff. Like I think there is pre-engagement stuff, absolutely, and there's like the
yeah. When you start a Phoenix
I just
battle,
mean like once the fight starts, that's what I mean. And that's what I mean by
There's
like
a tiny bit
similar
more
thing with
maneuverability.
Cyclones, where there is a setup.
the end.
Like you're positioning your units, you're moving around the map and finding an angle that you can fight at. Like there is actually, even with Mass Cyclone versus Mass Cyclone, there is a similar thing of like there is actually strategy and stuff. It's just that once the firing starts, it's like Jesus, take the wheel a little bit.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
until Phoenix start dying, and then you can start pulling back. High enough numbers, you don't do anything. But when
I think
when
the thing
like
is,
slight edges.
even in Phoenix versus Phoenix Wars, the problem is if you get up to a high enough number, if you're like 15 Phoenix versus 15 Phoenix, there's not a point where like the Phoenix start dying for both sides, and now it's 5 Phoenix versus 5 Phoenix. It's like one person had 16 Phoenix, one person had 15 Phoenix, and then by the end of the fight, it's one person has 10 Phoenix and the other person has 3 Phoenix. Like the fights.
Yeah, if the fight's uneven, then
It's very decisive.
That's how.
Yes.
That's how Mutaverse Muta worked too.
Yeah,
though.
exactly.
That's how everything versus everything
But
works in a vacuum. Yeah.
Mutaverse Muta though is you can't skill express as well as like I actually really know the ins and outs of Phoenix versus Phoenix, like way more than because I watched Max Packs so much for like 2.5 years, even before he was on the come up, and he was always the best Phoenix versus Phoenix player with like very few exceptions.
Yeah.
So
Would
like
you say
I
you're like a
watched him-
But I
bridge
don't-
between Max Packs and the average player?
But I feel I find myself in the middle of Fear Dragon and Steadfast because I feel like one, they're kind of talking about two different things. I don't know. Like Fear Dragon, I think is right. The worst thing about Phoenix vs. Phoenix and Muta vs. Muta is that when the fight starts, it's decisive. Like very rarely do you have the fight happen and then both players are like, see you next time. Like it's a wash. Let I can do
That's
this
true.
instead. I can do that instead. And so like let's just like it's okay, man. No, the game ends, and that is really not fun. And if the game doesn't have that happen, they both just sit at each other's houses and do nothing at all. Then they go into fucking carriers and waste 50 minutes of my time. But yeah, Phoenix versus Phoenix, the very start of the battle, I think, has a lot of like pre-anticipation and decision making and all that stuff. But it is the least interesting form of StarCraft 2 entertainment. And I said that during the regionals cast. I was like, this is the type of games no one likes because there might be a bunch of decision making, but there's no fucking explosions. When there's finally an explosion, it's the end of the game.
No,
You're like,
the
oh my
ZombieGrub,
God.
It is actually the games people like about because it gives you the opportunity to lie to me about Korean noodles. So,
Beomulf, I need
what's
to
important.
talk to you about something. Sometimes you can let a moment's joke just be left in that moment. I just needed to get that out there. Anyway, so I think that at least Cyclone versus Cyclone has a lot more battles. Like there is somewhat of a decision to like retreat into maybe a tank you have or a different type of choke. Obviously, the air versus air dynamic of things we're talking about cause a lot of issues as well. So, anyway,
it's kind of funny because it feels like it feels like Phoenix versus Phoenix does have that like the game just ends, whereas Cyclone versus Cyclone, it feels like you have these two meaningless engagements where they punch each other and neither side gets an advantage, and that happens like 35 times in a game, and you're just watching them like meaninglessly rock'em sock'em robots each other, and it doesn't feel like maybe it'll
They can
evolve
disengage
more.
more easily.
Yeah, well, and they can
I don't think
disengage
so,
you, and it doesn't feel like one player can ever get an advantage easily.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it just
Cyclones are
the number
short
of times we heard or saw the Cyclones skirmish and then disengage and then rebuild army and skirmish and do it like literally 7+ times on like maxed out armies was just it was unfucking bearable for me.
Yeah.
I don't think it's enjoyable.
Here we see the evolution. There's some tanks and stuff. I don't think it's enjoyable either. But I mean, like the healthiest that the game could be, I think, is if it introduces some variety. In my mind, like I don't mind it being a thing. It's kind of like how Phoenix and PvP can be a thing, even though it's not a common thing, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that'd be fine.
that is fun, right? Like whenever there is a time period before this last month in which we saw 7 games. Here we go, 7 games of Phoenix vs. Phoenix, and 5 of them were quite boring. Then the most recent 2 were very one-sided and over, like we expect Phoenix vs. Phoenix to be. But we had not seen Phoenix vs. Phoenix very often. So there was a time, probably back in February, where I saw Phoenix vs. Phoenix War, and I was actually excited. I was like, oh, this never happens, yeah!
Yeah, exactly.
Or we see a Cyclone versus Cyclone War because one person, like they both decided they're trapped. So that might have happened in March, for all I remember, and I would have been like, oh, this is really interesting. What the hell's happening? But to see it over and over and over again, and to potentially come the meta, I just think it's my worst fears possibly coming true, which is the Cyclone is dominating when it has no right to be. It's a very uninteresting model. It is not unique anymore because they're making it more and more like the Mech Marine. So it's unique because it's got a mechanical tag. Like that's not why. And the actual battles I don't think are nearly as engaging or cerebral. It's not smart anymore.
Yeah, I agree. TVT was known for being so positional before.
Anyway, so that's why ZVZ is the best matchup now.
Agreed.
I love
Agreed,
CVZ.
unironically. But
like
I'm biased.
CVC.
So.
Yeah.
Oh my god, we have 3 Zergs on the podcast.
Always has been.
I wouldn't be surprised though. Like, if we get a patch, and I think we're probably going to get another one. If we get a patch, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Cyclones changed or reverted in some way.
But will they be changed correctly?
That's a good
Will they
question.
be changed
I think we
before
just remove the
Katowice?
Cyclone. I think
Will
we
they be changed
remove
before
every unit we don't
Katowice?
like.
That's actually
You know,
that's a
like
good question.
strategically, I think like if you think about it strategically, like the Cyclone change was good, like on paper to bring people back in the game and generate discussion, etc. If you revert it, you do the same thing again. You see?
I think
Like, you still
I think
generate
it's just
boss and
it's just really unfortunate that Terran got another kill timing to kill Protoss, where if they
Yes.
don't build the shield battery early, they just die.
Yeah, that's
because
yeah.
well, I mean, we haven't even talked about this. I'm thinking about it from earlier. In the winter stage, Classic versus Clem, one of the first matches that was played, Classic beat Clem in the one macro game and then died to Cyclones twice.
Yeah, I remember. That's exactly what I was referencing when we were talking about whether should we buff Protoss and then I said, no, I think we should nerf Terran.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was thinking of because I remember Roddy, I think, was casting it or he was in the green room, either one. And it was just the most depressing, like, Protoss acknowledgement. You know what I mean? Like, he's not upset, he's disappointed.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you didn't build
like
you didn't build a shield battery to respect the Cyclone, so that's it.
Yep. And it was, like, is that a good like, that would be, I think, fine if it was the other way around, where it was Terran who was the one that was struggling and Protoss who had like a huge advantage in the matchup in the community's perception.
I'm going to counter this and say there was an era where this was the case, and it was when Terrans just didn't build a bunker to deal with like early Zealot and Stalker harassment and stuff. And you know what happened? We increased the rush distance for maps by 5 seconds on like everything. That was like the next map pool. That was the fix. Is all right, well, we're just going to give Terrans more time so that they can finish their bunkers.
There's a guy in chat that I'll just direct, like, instead of typing, I'll just directly, like, Jeff Bezos has been on the Cyclone defense. I really, really, really think you have to think about seeing this for every single TVT for 30 more years. 30 more years, 30 more series. Like, I really feel like we're losing that perspective. Everyone agrees that we see these things in unique situations, and we're like, that is fun. But if I were to watch 5 TVTs in a 3-day event, and all 5 TVTs, so 4 best of 3s and a best of 5, were all Cyclone versus Cyclone, I would really dislike it.
Don't want. It's not fun to watch.
It's such a shame too, right? Because like TVT before this most recent patch was, I think, in one of the better spots it's been in a while. Like TVTs in Katowice were bangers.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really feel like people. This happens a lot, right? But there's a period of time in which we all agree that something sucks. So PvZ was a great example where it just fucking sucked for a very long time. But then Hero came in and changed it. And that was actually an interesting style, but regardless. But even when that was happening, you'd still have a lot of people be like, ugh, PvZ. And you'd have to sit there as a commentator and really get it into their heads This is not the PVZ you remember. This is something unique and interesting. And so I feel like that's what I've had to do for the last 2-ish year at the very least, for TVT, which is everyone, including the commentators, would be like, TVT. And it hasn't been the really boring sit back and camp style for at least a year. Because, hey, I was there with Wardy casting it in 2022, and that fucking Kiramaru series wanted to blow my brains out. Least fun thing ever. 2022, 2023 and onward, it has been super fun. A lot of base trades, a lot of 8 racks versus 3 starport dynamics. There's hardly as much like 6 base, no one's doing anything, 20 Ravens versus 20 Ravens. But everyone has it in their brain of like this, like the worst case scenario. And I'm like, it really wasn't. And it really didn't need to be changed.
I agree.
That's just like my opinion, man.
I think it was in a really good position and a really good place. The other thing is, even if you don't see mass TVT Cyclone, is it necessarily a good thing that the player who is just faster and better at micro, but not necessarily better at making dynamic decisions, is it better that they win every game?
If it became that, yeah.
If it became that, this feels like it's taking a shot at Clem, but like, should Clem win every game because he can micro 2 Cyclones and medevac better than anyone else?
So yeah, you're saying like his game effectively becomes one-dimensional. He's good because he's good at one thing, not because he's good at everything.
No, I'm not saying he's not good at everything.
No. Yeah. He's not saying that. I think he's just saying like, it sounds like we're pointing at Clem because he is the best at execution.
Yes. Exactly.
It doesn't mean anything about his prowess for strategy, but he is saying, I think that if this became the meta, strategy is kind of just out the window, and it's just about like when you get into those situations where it's like you have a medevac with Cyclones on my side, I have one on your side. It does come down to
which is
just straight up execution. And if that ends up being the best build order opener, and only see that's super fucking uninteresting. For like, I'm thinking about this for ourselves as commentators. Yeah, like we are not going to enjoy having no deviation, and I think the community will also not enjoy having no deviation. And just it's like, all right, here's a TVT. We know Clem is better than Maru, who is better than Cure, who is better than blah blah blah. Like we go into a TVT and we know the result before it's going to happen. Like, how fucking much would that suck?
Yeah, that would suck. And it's not like during the game there would be a lot to talk about it also, because the engagements are what we've described when it's Cyclone versus Cyclone, right? They just bash into each other, and like there's not much micro or much like interesting decisions outside of positioning. So yeah, I agree. Luckily, I don't think it's getting to that. Like it didn't seem like it, at least, but I guess we'll have to wait and see.
It's exactly like Hellbat versus Hellbat. Back in the beginning of Heart of the Swarm. That's literally what TVT was who could get the same build, but who had like faster and slightly better execution on pulling your SCVs away. And they always ended in base trades too. And no one liked that. Right now it is fun, but it is also because it's unique. So I hadn't really thought about it, but I think I agree with you guys that even if it was just like the first 8 Cyclones versus the first 8 Cyclones, then everyone went into bio after, I'd still have a problem with it after 30 series. I'd still be like, well, okay, Clem is faster, all right.
And it reduces his like how good he is to one skill rather than everything that he's good at.
And it actually undercuts his own achievements in a weird way, which I don't want to see happen, because I do think Clem is the best Terran right now, but like I want that to be expressed in more interesting ways.
Yeah, but no, Steadfast, he didn't beat Maru in Korea, so he can't be the best Terran.
Okay.
God, Maru fans, will they ever fully, permanently be in shambles? They keep on bouncing back. It's really annoying.
It's nice, though, because if they didn't bounce back, we couldn't enjoy when they were sad. I like to see them complaining in Team Liquid threads, so that later on I can see them just in shambles.
I am really happy that there's still some holdout Korean fanboys, the ones who believe that Korean people can do no wrong, and they have the disadvantage of not having fresh talent or a very big scene, but they're still the best, and if they lose, it's because something unfavorably impacted them. I'm glad you guys are out there that still exists. I like you.
It really does just provide a lot of entertainment value on a
It
weekend.
does.
Really fun.
Yeah.
And then you get them, and then you get to see them complaining about casters that are saying, actually, I think Cyril's the best player in the world right now, or Clem's the best player, whatever it is. And they're like, wow, all the casters are on such Western bias copium.
That is actually
Yeah.
what I get the most pushback on is that I think Cyril is good. Like there's always like 3 people that are like, no.
Well, is he?
15
I
out
don't
of the
know.
top 16 players in the world were just like, well, no, Cyril is the best. And the only one who doesn't is Dark because he's
That
literally
was
a
so
real
cool.
living
We didn't
villain.
talk about that, but yeah, like he was so cool.
It was
He
actually
made the
really cool.
finals. He
Why-
played so great and like favorite player to watch.
Drew for Rate's
Kinda-
asking like a question that I feel is only somewhat even honest to the conversation. We're criticizing the idea that StarCraft 2 can actually become a game where it is just who goes faster, right? I know a lot of Reddit posts say that that's the problem with StarCraft. It's who moves faster. But that's not true. You guys are all fucking stupid and wrong. But it is a part of the game, certainly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For sure.
We don't want it to be the only part of the game.
Exactly.
And we also don't want innovation to only win on macro. We wanted to see his strategies. We wanted to see occasionally his actual innovations, which people forget that he did. And we want to see Scaril react to to scouting and have a good late game and have good strategy and throw in a cheese in a best of 5 and do this and that. That's all.
Yeah, we very
And to
much
that-
forget that like innovation was a micro god too. I mean, I think back to the GSTL micro challenges, like people would tune in to watch him stream not only because his macro was good, but his splits were incredible for the time and things like that. Like,
Yeah,
It's
I
not-
think
Yeah,
I think people talk
basically
about
if you yeah.
macro, but it was execution. Is like macro was a shorthand for execution when referring to innovation. I think.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
There is a certain like mentality, I guess, that like some people that think that, like they can't be pro players because they're not as fast as pro players or something like that, or that that speed is all that matters and stuff like that, but it's just not. That's just not true at all, right? Like pro players do so much more than just move their hands fast, and
Yeah.
they only move their hands fast because they're used to like repeating the same strokes, right? But in that process they optimize so much and they're so good at the little details and stuff. So when you dumb the game down to make it just be like who's fastest, is no longer StarCraft, even though StarCraft is known for how fast you have to play. That it is a strategy game primarily. When you take that out, it's bad.
and let's be real, it's like people talk about like APM isn't a measure of how fast your hands are up until maybe we're talking about Raynor or Clem or something. It's a function of how fast your brain's moving. Your APM increases not because your hands are moving faster. Your APM increases because you know what to do at every second more. There are less seconds of thinking and more seconds of understanding and doing what you have to do. So, even this idea about APM one way or the other, it's a fun. I guess I'm just agreeing with you, Cats, but it's a false metric.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. It's like you can become faster because you have a clearer mind of what you want to do next at all times.
Exactly.
You get slow when you
Exactly.
sit in the middle of the map and going, do I base trade? Do I go back home? Do I... And then, yeah, of course your APM sucks.
Yeah, but there's a cope, right? Even amongst pro players, like like if they think they're very good strategically, they might say my mechanics are not up to par, and maybe at that, like you were saying, like like there is I'm sure some threshold where having slightly longer fingers and like freaking like there is some threshold at which that the tiniest things are gonna matter, but at large, like it's a huge cope. Like one of the people that I work with. Like a very close friend of mine, like they're a grandmaster player, right? But they feel like they're not very fast, and they feel like if only the execution was there to match their their strategic prowess, they would be so much better, right?
Yeah.
And this is an argument that's so common and it's so infuriating. And
Yes.
yeah, it was cool because Scarlett was there when like they said something like this, and Scarlett was like, "That's cope. That's like mechanics. Like your mechanics are bad. That's just a cope. Like they're bad, then you gotta play more to make them good and repeat the same actions, and that's all you gotta do." Yeah.
Yeah, I hate all these types of discussions, honestly. We see them so often. And people will be like, Age of Empire will suit you more. And it's like, kind of, but at the end of the day, there's going to be people that are better than you, no matter what
interestingly,
happens.
That's actually very interesting. Is that Age of Empires might be a slower game, but you see the same pros, the same RTS people thriving because they're good at strategy primarily, right? It might be better suited for a player that's not as quick as Clem, because that is very much an element in StarCraft 2. But yeah, the strategy, or in my game in Zero Space, it's wild because right now we have a ladder going, and Vortex and Lucifron, I mean, just everywhere they go, they're so freaking good. And it's not like they're the fastest people in the West, but they were top StarCraft 2 players. They were very good at Stormgate, very good at Zero Space, extremely good at AoE.
And heroes.
Some people. And
Not
heroes,
even RTS.
they're just, these people are just wild.
They're legitimately just gamers. They
They're
are
just gamers. It's
they
actually
are
insane.
actually gamers.
Yeah. They are actually gamers, specialized in strategy and gaming. So that's, if you remove that component, no, thank you.
Yeah. We kind of got sidetracked, but I guess this was one of my, we're going to talk about people do year end top 10 list or something. This would probably be my top 10 list of annoyances when I go to Reddit is reading the people who are like, I would like a game that's as good as StarCraft, but just rewards my more strategic brain. Can you find me a game like that? And people will say the stupidest thing in response.
Is this the next evolution? This is just the next evolution of the Twitch chat GM. This is just another expression of the same idea.
Go play a card game. Go play a game that doesn't have mechanics.
Yeah,
there are a lot of mini games. Stop
literally a
complaining about
card game.
StarCraft and try and change my game.
You know what's actually really funny
literally a card
too
game.
is people will complain all I have to do is follow a build order. And I've recently learned, as someone who was never good at chess also has build orders. You can actually win with the opener.
Chess is you gotta read books for chess,
So
So
now
much
I'm even more
defined
bewildered.
build orders,
Yeah, I'm even more bewildered by this excuse that people use.
People who
for
use
chess, it's
that
even worse
logic,
than StarCraft.
man,
Their
they are
first
just
30 moves are plotted out. At the highest
exactly.
level.
There are certain professional matches of chess that won't have deviation for such a long time.
Imagine the same people who are like, if my mechanics were necessary, I would win strategically. They move over to chess and they lose, and they're like, if only I could show off a little bit of my mechanics.
If only I didn't have a timer.
I would win.
Oh no, I thought you were gonna go a different direction. I thought you were gonna say they're mechanically trying to execute all their actions so that they actually have the maximum amount of time on the timer.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Why is there this mechanical execution in chess where I have to move my pieces and there's a timer? If only there was no timer in chess, then this would be a truly skill-based game.
You know what's actually funny about that is how quick some of the top chess players are at clicking. They are legitimately that's a real advantage in online chess.
So we need to get
Hikaru.
Magnus Carlsen playing StarCraft.
Funnily enough, I know we're talking a lot about how mechanics aren't the end all be all. I do think that will always be an extra thing that someone can be better at, right?
Oh yeah.
Even Age of
absolutely,
Empires, if it requires a lower skill floor, if we use that term, you're still going to have more reward for being able to click faster. That's always going to exist. But
yeah,
we just don't want the whole thing to exist on that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's
So
I
it-
know I went. Oh, go ahead.
I just love the idea of chess players practicing hitting the fucking clock, because that is part of it.
it is part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's and especially because so much of chess is online now. Clicking and presetting your moves for what is it? Bullet is Bullet the fastest one?
Yeah.
Well, it's 2 minutes. 50
Bullet's
seconds,
2
or
minutes
2.5
plus
minutes?
3 seconds, I think, something like that.
I think it's 2:30 maybe. Anyway.
Either way, you got to go real fast. So it is funny that that's a thing.
Yeah.
I think we need real-time strategy games without the real time. That's the problem here.
Yeah, that too.
If only there was a game category for that.
To be fair, we really do need to get more subcategories for RTS. It is way too all-encompassing of a genre.
I love that at the Game Awards it was strategy / sim,
Yeah.
and you had a city builder game on the same category as I forget what some sort of RTS game, and in the same category competing to win the best strategy / sim game of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I hate those things.
How is this any way, shape, or form close to anything?
I mean,
I think we could rename the entire thing from real-time strategy to real-time tactics, because strategy is a different thing. It revolves
forgot about
around
that.
an entire maneuver. Countries versus countries, and tactics is on the map, individual, micro, and where to fight.
You have an
Thank you for
amazing
coming to my
nerd
TED
voice. Holy
That is
shit.
amazing.
That is the epitome nerd voice.
Oh yeah,
Dude, you need to box that and sell that shit.
Voice actor Steadfast, go. But yeah, it was Cities Skylines 2 and Company of Heroes 3 were in the same category for the Game Awards. By the way, this category was won by Pikmin 4. Just throwing it out there.
Pikmin 4?
You know what? No. I'm going to actually defend that a tiny bit because Pikmin, I will actually say, I think is a really, really weird RTS game. But I think it is an RTS game.
Really?
Right, I love it.
I've always wanted to play Pikmin. I've never gotten I've always had the chance. I've never done it.
The way I describe it is, you know how Tooth and Tail, you control like a hero, like, or a character that's like running around and you send other units if you ever play Tooth and Tail?
I've never heard of Tooth and Tail. What's Tooth
you didn't
and
hear
Tail
when
like?
Artosis was obsessed with it for a while?
Describe something about Tooth and Tail. I want to
like
go how deep.
it's like
rats. Really bad graphics. Bad graphics. Rats.
Okay.
It's not bad graphics.
Like?
It's 2D graphics.
It's cute.
Yes. Yeah. So it's like 2D pixel graphics. You have like a rat commander, and you're not directly like boxing units and stuff on the screen.
Did you guys know that Tooth and Tail had 5 months ago a TNT Champions League CatZ finals?
Pretty cool.
That is what they called their tournament.
That's where CatZ went.
CatZ?
Yeah, CatZ.
That's funny.
Is that strange?
The feast will begin
Well,
shortly.
No, of course, like S is the next fact. But I feel like I've never heard another esport use the term CatZ. Not that I know every single esport, of course.
That's
I
fair.
actually don't even know what rats is.
This is the
Like
game.
an animal a rat is?
Well, I know what an animal. No, I've never even. Yeah, that's a new to me.
Like, what do you
okay.
mean you don't even know what rats is?
This game, I've never seen it.
Oh, it's called
Tooth and Tail is the name, not rats.
I was like, what?
No, but someone was using rats to describe. There's rats in the game.
Mice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they're rat people.
Oh, okay.
So, but it's really interesting in the control scheme because like you can play it on a controller, and I think you're not even really at a disadvantage because you're just maneuvering a single character around. But then the character moves to a location and says like, I want to move my army here or attack here. So it's like your cursor basically is just a unit that you're moving around. And Pikmin, I think, is similar in my mind to that. Where it's like there is an army and there's a macro mechanic and all this other kind of stuff, but it's moving a single unit around that's then issuing indirect commands basically to your army.
Cool. Yeah, makes sense.
I really love when anyone, myself included, starts to make fun of something, and then someone else is like, actually, and then there's like this deep history and really deep strategy and really interesting.
That's the case with everything.
Right?
With
Exactly.
everything ever. Yeah.
You're like Windows, am I right?
Kojima decided.
Yeah.
It's literally everything, like toasters. I was like, I have a normal toaster, and then this was like 10 years ago. Rifkin was like, yeah, everyone has a normal toaster, and I was like, yeah, it's like, it's like this big. And Rifkin was like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like this big. And then apparently I have an abnormal toaster, and we discussed toasters for like 20 minutes.
Now, the next level toasters, you can get steam toasters that are like, they're stupid expensive, but like it steams the bread and then toasts around it, so like it's fluffier on the inside while still getting the solid toast.
There you go.
And it's like $1,000 for the steam toasters.
Exactly.
What happens if you put bread in an air fryer? Does it become a toaster?
It becomes fried
air
bread.
fryer is just a convection oven, so yes. The answer is yes.
So then if you put bread in the oven, does the oven become the toaster?
Yes.
All right.
And in fact,
How
the
far
best
can we
toast isn't
go
even
with
made at a
this?
toaster at all. It's made when you put some oil on a skillet and toast it like that.
If you put a
How far
toaster
can we
in
go
a
with this? I like
toaster,
that question.
is it a toasty?
Oh.
This is reminding me of when we went up to Colaris and asked him if potatoes or onions are
What is the price of a potato?
Are onion rings fancier than French fries? Yes or no? Well, clearly they're fancier. All right. Anyway,
Clearly, yeah. But,
So yeah,
How far
cyclones.
have
We
like,
agree.
fallen off the? How far have we lost the plot here?
oh, so much.
I mean, I'm really thinking about this toaster question. Like, I feel like it's very deep.
Is this gonna?
I
which
was
toaster
amazed to
question
find that I have an
Cash?
abnormal
Like, what
toaster.
constitutes a toaster? Yeah.
The
something
people
that
were like,
toasts.
toasters
I don't
hold
think
2
that's good
pieces
enough.
of bread. And I'm like,
I
mine
knew
holds
someone
4.
was going to say our hot dog sandwiches. I knew. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, that's the classic. Yeah, that's the classic question. It's very difficult to define.
Is hot cereal soup? I don't remember what the other one is.
Oh.
Stu, excuse you.
Anyway, we should try and do some type of finishing like top list thing, but I didn't think of any, honestly.
Top 12 toasters to find in your driveway.
Favorite game of the year.
Favorite game of the year. That is going to be
no
really
idea.
hard.
My brain is not going to be able to think.
Exactly.
My brain's not. Yeah, no.
I'm not Rotterdam. I don't just like remember every
If we
game.
could get a list of best games, then I think we could decide. But all I could
think
think of
we-
is
yeah.
like
Yeah,
Oliveira's
yeah.
games and then Clem vs. Serral.
You know what? Favorite player performances, like not even an individual
Ooh.
time thing, just like across the year. Favorite players that you feel like performed well.
I think Clem's rise to greatness was kind of something we were all hoping for.
That's true.
He's such a
I
sweet
mean, the
kid.
obvious candidates I think are Raynor, Clem, Oliveira, and Serral, right? Which is
Serral,
kinda
you'd
wild,
include?
like- Serral, I mean, I would include Serral. Yeah, he was going into this event perceived as the strongest player by everyone except for Dark, and yeah, I would say he looked pretty unstoppable up until he was stopped. So
I'm
I
gonna
think,
say Solar. Solar had
Solar,
a lot of
Solar was big.
Yeah.
Solar had a lot of awesome results that kind of like obviously all the ones we talked about are for sure deserving of that, but I think Solar, he won his GSL. He was MVP of Summer World Team League and he knocked out Serral and Raynor. He's just always been so good, and it feels like he's finally had the results to match the level of play that like any Solar fan knows he's been pulling off for a while, and it feels like he actually has found a new gear for himself. He's just been it's been really cool to see, and he's just an awesome guy too. Like he's a really nice guy.
Really cool, right? Like long time coming for Clem and for Solar, especially for Solar. Like it's been so freaking long where he's been like a top 4, top 8 contender, and then finally explodes. Same thing could be said for Cure. I almost expect them to win something next year, like this year, right?
Yeah,
Like he's set
Yeah.
up for it.
Yeah, he
I
was
also- Oh, good.
really set up to even win Gamers 8 if Raynor wasn't playing the best Zerg ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Curious.
Yeah.
That's true.
and that's happened now 3 times where like he's had this year, I think.
Yeah,
'Cause
this year
he-
3 times.
He's had a run to the what was it? Two finals and a semifinals of like
3
Premier.
finals, I'm not sure. I thought it was 3 finals.
I mean,
maybe it was 2.
I thought it was 3 finals as well, but I think I might be
It was just
mixing it up.
two.
Pure?
Well, you might
Yeah,
Like a
three,
master-
right?
GSL
It
finals.
was 3.
GSL
It was-
finals.
right, yeah, Masters
Gamers 8,
Coliseum.
Masters.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
And-
including online.
And almost every single one of those, he's looked like he's been able to actually compete in those finals. And then like game 2, it's somewhere in the series. It's game 2, it's game 3, it's game 4. Sometimes it's even game 5. But he just runs out of gas and then he falls over, and it becomes a completely uncompetitive series after putting up.
Chokes, maybe.
I don't even want to say it's chokes. It feels like he gets exhausted. Like it feels like
Maybe.
it's,
I mean,
it's as much as anything fatigue setting in.
That's kind of been the story of Cure's career, though, right? I even think back to like when he was Royal Roading in the GSL, and he's at Red Bull Battlegrounds, and then I
He's
think he
always
lost
been
4-2
good,
to Bomber in the finals, and then he lost to Inno in the semis, and like it feels like his entire career has been bridesmaid, never the bride, not in like a Sue way or in a yellow way or something. Just
Yeah.
he just can, even when because he has GSL to his name, but he's really consistently at stumbling at the final hurdle.
Or near it. I think he has
Yeah,
made
yeah.
a lot of progress this year where he's actually in the final hurdle, whereas before he was more like in the top, 4, 8
Top 4,
final
yeah.
hurdles.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
felt like he wasn't able to beat the players that he would need to be able to beat to win the championship. Now
Which
it
is
feels like
weird. Yeah, it's whack because he always finished so high. Like going
Yeah.
into Atlanta, he wasn't on my mind for top 4, but when he gets the top 4 and I look at the rest of the results, I'm like, well, yeah, we should have expected that. Like
Yeah.
we could have seen him in the finals. Yeah.
Yeah. And it feels like if he's now gotten to the point where he is beating those players, he just can't do it, 4 games out of 7 in a finals. Like he's so much closer than it actually looks like until you actually look at it and you're like, no, he's really, really fucking close. Like it just doesn't feel like he's that championship caliber where he has that magic of like a Maru, a Serral, a Raynor.
Yeah, the factor.
Yeah, exactly. In a weird way, Classic almost has that factor more so than Cure, where you're like, whoa, like he pulled off some magic with these games. Hero.
Yeah.
Hero's another good one. Yeah. Hero is definitely another player who, like, when he's on, he's fucking on.
Yeah.
The biggest disappointment category, people are suggesting it should be Hero. It's actually the entire Protoss race.
Yeah.
Hero was very sick. Hero was very sick for
Classic,
Atlanta.
who threw so many leads in that Dark series. Is it Hero, who has not been playing nearly as well? Is it Max Pax, who never shows up offline? Is it Firefly, the goat of my heart, who
Firefly, the
couldn't
goat.
attend Atlanta? Is it
Maru's
Showtime,
really
who
fallen
forgot
off in the
bases
last 6
exist?
months too.
He has.
who has?
Who has?
Oh, sorry.
Maru.
Okay.
Maru.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
true.
yeah.
But like,
Is
at
it
least he
Beyond?
won 2 GSLs, right? He had a deep run at Gamers 8.
At
You
least
can't
he
really
won
say
2 regionals early in the year.
Yeah,
Well,
but I mean,
every
is it a
football.
fall off if you knew
Shit.
that he really wasn't that great?
I like the story.
Is it a fall off? He was never really that great to begin with. God damn.
Yeah.
Clip it. Post it on Reddit.
Jesus.
Yeah, you know what? Feel free. Happily.
He never beat
the
Cyril
Maru
in an
haters.
international tournament, so can he really be the GOAT?
That's wild.
Never offline international tournament. Yeah.
Didn't he win WESG in like long time
He
ago?
won a WSG, yeah.
He
Yeah,
did.
no, that
That's the
That was-
only
that was
premier
offline,
offline
right?
event he's won.
premier, yeah,
Yeah.
well, premier offline international event.
And that international, sorry, yeah. Is GSL even a premier event anymore?
I mean,
Is the prize pool big enough?
that'll get the
It's not.
the Korean lovers.
The Korean lovers.
I was trying to think of
that's
like the right
something.
word.
That's
Korean
something.
Korea
Actually,
boost.
I would
Korea
be
boost.
really curious to see how Maru has done at international events since the Raven was nerfed.
Yeah, no, I actually think we touched on it a little bit, maybe
We
at
did.
Gamers 8. Or maybe in a talk show leading up to something. Yeah, because I think you mentioned it. I think maybe I remembered you mentioned it, and I mentioned it to other people too. It is actually a fair question. Can't turtle as hard, I guess.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like he doesn't have the opportunity to like get to those super late games where he can pull off some of the Maru magic that he has in the 5-6 years ago. So now that the game is, what do you say, more balanced? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's
Good
your
point.
area.
Let's see here. Any other categories? I don't think so that I can think off the top of my head. I didn't prep all that much, so
Spiciest take.
Spicy steak.
I think I just listed all my spicy takes in the last 5 minutes.
There we go.
Firefly top 4.
No, Firefly. No,
No,
we
Firefly
gotta
will
quote me
make a top four.
properly when I'm heinously wrong, and that is Firefly in the finals.
That was a 2024 prediction though.
Ah, true.
Yeah,
My
2024
spiciest take is that we are seeing the highest skill of StarCraft 2 to date.
Oh, it's
We
what's
are.
our
It's
spiciest
not-
take?
it's
I don't
not
think that's
spicy.
spicy take. Yeah, I think that's just
That's-
accurate.
It's
that's
not,
spicy, yeah.
but I'm waiting for Twitch chat and or Reddit.
Reddit does not believe that the game is the highest level it's ever been, and it actually is by a lot. Like,
It's very difficult. It's very difficult to separate. Yeah, like I would agree. I would agree. It's StarCraft is the highest level that it has been played, but at the same time, it's not the highest level. Like it's not the highest
Ooh.
competition that has been played.
Oh
at,
wait,
if
no,
that makes
I
sense.
should.
Like,
I'm not gonna do that.
Imagine like we
Like,
get
there's
games
less
that are like
competition.
Cyril Clem Game 3 5 years ago, when there's actually when it was much bigger. Do we see the decline? Probably still, because it's a lot of mismanagement more than anything else. But
Yeah.
do we? I don't know.
Also, another spicy take: Roddy is the greatest analyst of StarCraft 2's history.
he's very good.
is that a spicy take?
I also don't think that's particularly spicy.
I'm waiting for the
like
Artosis fans.
like I would say today almost undisputably so.
Oh, but I didn't say today.
I feel like
Of history.
Like the goat of analysis.
Mhm.
I mean,
It depends
would
on what
he
you
have
count, right? Like there's
predicted
been, yeah.
a mech player who throws down 2 additional barracks? I mean, would
No,
Roddy have been able to do that?
4 Raxes into mech, you fool.
Someone said Husky.
Right, sorry, it was 4 additional barracks, right?
Someone said Lambo, for example. Yeah, if you count Lambo, like Lambo doing analysis while he, or if you count Cyril at a, when he sits down on a Home Story Cup, couch, then yeah, you have to
Well, best
but-
analyst isn't actually just me. You know what?
It doesn't just mean
it's just a meme.
analysis,
I'm not gonna explain it. You don't get the best analyst award categories for broadcasters that include,
True.
fuck, I forget his name right now. Jesus. Simple. There we go.
Mhm.
Anyway. I was just saying the spicy takes that aren't actually spicy, but I was hoping to draw out the two dickheads. They're not here.
You can-
Damn it. No, my actual spicy takes are definitely just like Protoss is a little disappointing, but I don't think it's really their fault. Hero is definitely disappointing. Maru's kind of looking a little washed.
Hero was sick.
Where are your
Um,
spicy
true.
takes?
I mean, people are gonna say these are spicy, man.
Okay,
Really?
Sure.
I have a
Korea
real
is
spicy take.
a region. The GSLs are regional at this point.
That's a big one. Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, it's
Europe's the
not
strongest region.
prestigious. Europe is the strongest region. The
Yes.
strongest players are not Korean.
Correct.
I don't. What else?
I
Dave had
have
a-
a
Dave
really
apparently
good
had a really
spicy
spicy
take that
take.
is gonna get some people's blood boiling.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
I'm ready.
You insult Showtime again. I swear to God.
I mean, he's caught in the crossfire. Don't worry. So Protoss in international tournaments did just as well as they should have done for how well they played.
That is a spicy take.
It's also kind of like a mediocre take, though, isn't it? They
Yeah, like,
did
I'm-
exactly as expected.
Given
Yeah,
the
it's
level
kind
of
of like
play.
what happened type take. Yeah, I agree.
Well, no, it's
Well,
more like
you're saying. I see.
it's more like
you're-
if they had played better, they would have done better.
You're saying there's no balance issues. Yeah.
That's
There's
that's
no-
what the
yeah.
implication would be. I don't necessarily. I think that there's things that should be done, but I think that
You can't.
No,
go
no,
both
Dave,
ways.
no. I'm not gonna let you back out of this one. Answer the question. Do you think there are balance issues or no? For
Oh, yeah.
Protoss.
I think it's more that what he's saying
Okay.
is that the balance issues are not the reasons that Classic lost to Dark, or that Showtime lost to Clem, or that Showtime
Exactly.
lost to Raynor,
Ah.
or Hearthstone
or
lost
even
to
Classic
Raynor.
lost to Cure.
Yeah, it wasn't. Balance issues exist, but the reasons the Protoss players underperformed was not because of balance issues specifically.
It's amazing how
That is
consistent
what he's
that is,
saying.
isn't it?
But, yeah.
All
No
right,
one can
I'll
play
give
a
you.
perfect game
Okay,
still,
that's
right?
a spicy take.
Yeah, I'll
It's,
give you.
it's a
spicy.
spicy enough take, but it's like it's yeah,
You left the
Alright.
door open so you can backpedal.
exactly. What do you think?
I like it.
It's
All
not
right.
a,
2024.
Cats, what's your
it's not a
spicy
cat's
take?
hot ones looking.
I don't know if I have a spicy take. I didn't think it was coming to me. I thought we were just volunteering spicy takes.
I feel like you'd have like I feel like you wouldn't think it's spicy. You probably have
Oh,
one.
interesting. That's not unlikely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
Fear
try to think
Dragon,
on it.
your actual spicy take, not a meme take.
Okay,
no
my
bullying.
actual spicy take, which I think I've told you before. I think I've even said out loud before. European fans for StarCraft are nice, but North American
Ah.
fans are like 20 times better in almost every way.
North American
Oh.
crowds are better.
Like
100%.
when, like I do like, and I
Avilo
have
and
enjoyed
Naniwa are
meeting all
healthy for the scene.
Europeans.
Okay, go on.
Oh
Oh,
my god.
Jesus Christ.
I missed what he said.
Oh Lord, baby Jesus.
What did he say?
Cats just dropped a nuke. Like,
Yeah. We're
I
like
was
we're like we're
"What's
like
your
tipping the
spicy take?"
Tabasco sauce. We're like, oh, that's spicy. He just fucking drops a nuke. No, I do disagree with that one, but it is a spicy take.
Yeah,
Continue, Fear
spicy
Dragon.
takes.
Oh, that was your
Continue,
sorry.
sorry.
I didn't hear what Katz's thing was.
It's okay. It's
Avillo and Naniwa are good for the scene.
Oh,
healthy,
okay.
yeah.
healthy for the scene.
Healthy
Yeah.
indicators of a scene, yeah.
I think I would have bought
Of a
that
private
before all the really bad stuff that came out. Being a rager,
I
you
get
know,
it. No,
being
I get that.
feisty,
Like
sure,
I'm not.
but-
Yeah. I just mean. I don't mean like their actions should be, like their actions. Like I'm not offering impunity or that they should not be reprimanded for their actions. I'm saying they're a good indicator of a healthy scene when there is like that, that sort of, that sort of like person that is seen as problematic and like very, like drama and all of this.
I'm
stuff.
just saying, guys. Andrew Tate is good for the YouTube ecosystem.
We couldn't have had
He's a-
World War II without Hitler. Like,
I'm not going to defend
and
the
then the
take.
Allies would have never won.
I'm not
and
going
we
to
never
defend the
would have
take,
had
but
15
I think
years
a
of
better
US
analogy.
hegemony.
See,
Absolutely.
this is the problem with my spicy take. Is I could try to defend it, but it would take too long.
No, No, I'm gonna
It's true,
kind of
it's true.
defend you a little bit on this, Katz. Even
you,
though I
thank
don't
you.
agree with it, I don't agree with it. But I'm gonna say I think a better analogy is that there are enough people that someone like an Andrew Tate exists is a good indicator that the human civilization is doing well enough. That there is enough people that we've gotten to a point that there's like also things like that.
That's not a defense.
That's
I
not
think
a
that-
defense
yeah,
What
at
is
all.
that?
I think because
Questions?
he said
Well,
he
he's saying,
didn't
like,
say that
it's
it's good for the
health-
scene. He
it's
said
healthy,
it's an
it's healthy.
indicator that the scene is
Of
healthy.
health, yeah,
Because-
exactly.
Because-
Wait, are you
It's gotten
arguing
large enough that there
horribly
are
unhealthy.
people.
the
like
fact that there's 8 billion people in the world is unhealthy? You're actually like disproving the point.
No. Because there are all sorts of perspectives. So and also like these type of people like create drama around stuff that like it's like almost tangential to the game to some degree, which I think is a good indicator that the game is there's a lot of active conversation, a lot of active dialogue, and people give a shit about like all this other things that are not just like say the balance of the game or stuff.
Well,
like
yeah,
that. Like I
but-
think.
Drama
I
is
think
good.
you can get
Noise is
people
good,
who
noise
are
is
who
good,
are
yeah.
not stalkers and abusers. Like Idra was a dickhead,
Yeah, fair.
but
Idra
he,
was a
you know,
be the
dickhead,
heel.
Yeah, Idra's, yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
Even
Idra
Dark
said
is a
some.
little bit of a heel.
Idra said some really dark.
Oh
shit,
yeah,
too,
100%.
He
Yeah.
he said some things about tire irons that I'm sure
Yeah,
he wished
yeah,
he took back.
So, right.
But
Yeah.
he didn't do it.
So.
Actually, my hot take.
Right. That's true. I
My
guess.
hot take was that I think
Yeah.
Idris said a lot of worse things than the thing he got let go of EG for.
Mhm.
And I was
Wait, is
kind
that-
of surprised and confused.
Wait,
that
what
the Team
actually
Liquid
caused him?
comment,
I'm,
I have a. Yeah.
when
Right,
did he
and-
get let go from EG?
He made he responded to a fan on Team Liquid, right? Am I misremembering this? This is a very long time
I don't
ago. But
remember
I
him
thought he
getting
responded
I don't
to
remember him ever being let go from EG.
I don't either, but maybe
You don't
it's true.
remember this? Wait,
I could
am-
say.
did I dream this?
I think
Are
you
you talking
might.
about Orb?
Oh, he
No,
definitely- Idra definitely, like,
Idra
crossed
got
the
let
line a
go
little
from
bit too far.
EG.
Orb
he
did
definitely crossed
something
the
that
line.
that
He
he
was on
should
a
have been
stream.
canceled for. I would say.
Right.
ZombieGrub, you're SC2 historian. Come on.
I don't
Don't call
remember what
me
he
that.
said, but yeah, no.
How dare you? What are we talking about? What he
Idra-
actually got
Idra
let go for?
from EG, right? He got kicked off EG
Yeah,
Yeah.
he said something on a stream
because of
and I forget
something he
what it was.
said to like a fan on Team Liquid comment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I'm not like absolutely crazy. No
Are
one,
you
no one
sure it was
else on this
permanent?
call besides you apparently remembers
Oh.
this. And I don't have your stream open, so I don't know what chat's saying. Okay.
He called the fans an idiot, and he's the one who gets paid. That sounds very familiar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this
My-
is the
My
way it
hot,
goes.
my hot
Yeah.
take
Forgot
was that
about
I
that.
thought he said a lot of worse things before that, and that
He
the
did.
comment that ultimately led to him getting let go was not
Yeah.
really that bad.
Yeah, the tire
relative to other
iron
things he
should
said.
have,
I could see that, yeah.
been the
Partially,
first and only.
Yeah.
But it would yeah. And then Beomulf, what's your spicy take so we can wrap up?
Protoss results are not result of balance. They're result of I guess I'm going with Steadfast here, but Protoss results are not a factor of balance. They're a factor of players not playing well enough. Or a better way to say this, if you look at the mistakes Protoss players this year and you saw another player make them, you would not expect the results that we expect out of Protoss players.
That's
right?
actually a cool way of putting it.
Like if Cyril made the mistakes that Showtime made this year, we would not be saying it's an imbalance issue. We'd say Cyril's playing a lot worse than we expect him to play. If Max Pax or if Clem makes the mistakes that Hearthstone made against Raynor, say, for example, in this series, we're not saying that, wow, this is an imbalance issue. We're saying that this is a bunch of mistakes that happened. That's not a balance issue. That's a players played incorrectly. They didn't do
No one plays correctly. Like no one plays correctly though, right? Like you can't play a perfect game.
Yeah,
so
but the
it's-
magnitude of mistakes, of
Sure.
mistakes that are being made are much higher.
For sure. I think that we've had this conversation on the show
Yeah.
too before, but yeah, like I think that is exacerbated by the design of Protoss, right? It is it is like designed as a race that is somewhat binary in the outcomes because there's like higher investment per unit, right? Like they cost more basically. Like there's a lot of like build time that matters a lot. So like when you get your War Prism sniped, the game can feel over. Like for example, we were talking about Classic versus Dark and that game where he kind of like threw a, like I was casting that one and like his War Prism got sniped, so he kind of like felt like okay, maybe I just sit back. Like that's a big mistake, but Cirque can't really make that sort of you get a roach sniped or whatever equivalent like cost wise. It doesn't have the same type of implications. So, yeah.
But at the same time, we also don't have a level of a unit that has that level of power either. Like, there's no
Right.
there. Like, And I guess the equivalent would be like if 2 Vipers got sniped before
Sure.
Which
a
is how
big
Cyril
4
lost the
Colossus
game
push,
actually against
you
Clem.
know?
Which is how one of the reasons he lost the Oceanborn game against Clem in Atlanta. But I'm not even talking about units getting sniped. I'm talking about forgetting a base. I'm talking about taking a fight and just not microing for 30 seconds while you lose all your power units. I'm not talking about, a Colossus getting caught away a little bit and it gets awkwardly sniped, and that's unfortunate. That's a mistake, but it's not forgetting a base exists. It's not moving out for 5 minutes when you have a massive lead and then losing because your army's tech behind. Those are mistakes that are not a function of the power budget of a single unit or not. That's not a design mistake.
Yeah, but then there also is the factor that power budget does exist, and it makes things tough. Like it cuts both ways, you know.
Fair, but
it's
I mean, I think there is something to the fact that like we have had a lot of protos, like a lot of the top protos that were previously doing the best retire, and we don't have max packs at events, and so I think there is something to it, right? But
yeah. That, and we lost every, and I forget who said this, but someone we've been dancing around it for a while, but someone went out and said it's like we had every top Protoss player from Korea all go to the military at the same time. It's like, imagine Cyril, Raynor, Dark, and Solar all get removed from the StarCraft scene.
Yeah.
Is there a Zerg winning? No.
Solar.
I said Cyril, Raynor, Dark, and Solar.
Oh, shoot.
I included him in the
Solar,
list.
yeah. Okay.
Or, Clem, Maru, Cure, Gumiho. I don't know. Is there a Terran winning? Probably not.
there is a like world out there where people are like, oh man, Shin really deserves to win some tournaments. Like, like those 4 Zerg players don't exist, and like all the Protoss players are still here from the military.
Absolutely, yeah.
And like Zerg has never won, hasn't won a tournament in the last year, and they're like, man, why can't Ragnarok just win a tournament? Like he's so
the
good,
best.
and he just deserves to win, And it's like, wow.
He's the best Zerg, and he can't even put a dent.
Exactly. And it's like, I mean, he should.
I mean, that's a thing. It's always impossible to tell for sure, right? But yeah,
it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
Good hot takes, guys. Appreciate it.
Good hot takes.
Thanks for the raid, Raynor.
Yeah, thanks
Agreed.
for the raid, Rain.
Just in time to get me to watch me put my foot in my mouth in a different way.
Yeah, this is going to be our closing segment. So,
What about WTL? Should we talk about that or no?
yeah, I guess we can go ahead and talk. I mean, Cat's gonna have to go.
I gotta drop, yeah.
No, it was 2024. This is a 2023 recap.
Yeah.
Technically, WTL was in 2023. It just ended in 2024.
It's got a point.
Okay, you can
started
only
in
talk about
2023.
WTL, but only matches from before. Bye, cats.
Yeah, only the boring matches.
You're only allowed to
Cats.
talk about matches in 2023.
I think we need to go over and take a look at what Raynor just said in Twitch chat. Or is that gonna
Well,
demonetize?
he just outed himself as a foot fetish fan. But I mean, who isn't? Like it's like the most common fetish ever.
it's 2024. We can't judge. This is right.
I mean, we can absolutely judge. You can judge all you want. You're
Personally, I just want to make
kink-shaming.
it clear I am not. I think it's quite gross, but is apparent. I think it is the most common one, or at least the most admitted one, I suppose.
It actually it's one that's really interesting. I had a friend that was in med that defined this at one point where it's because the two nerves in your brain are really close to each other, that or the two parts of your brain that define something to do with feet and something to do with the other part of it, and they just, in some people's brains, they get close enough that they just start to cross signals. So it's unlike some things, it's like there's actually some sort of I guess physical component to it, which is interesting. And that's why it's so popular.
So
so common.
actually, speaking of feet in the mouth in 2023, Dave, you had something where you're going to put a form of foot in your mouth. What happened to that?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
gonna
No,
eat a
there was the so it was actually Firefly that threw a game versus Clem, and I was like, oh, if Clem holds this, I'll eat a shoe. But seeing as I didn't want to die, I decided I would not eat an actual real shoe. But it was really busy around that time, so I didn't have the chance to do it. But in lieu of getting either eating something made out of or made in the shape of a shoe, because I'm not I can do that, but that's boring. I would rather do something that's actual real pain, but doesn't kill me because eating a real physical shoe would kill me. But I think if I eat spicy food, real spicy food, does that satisfy the need? Because that's
Dave,
real
there's a
pain,
really-
as
there's a really
opposed to like
simple
eating
solution.
like a chocolate shoe.
What
Just
if
do a
you
shoey.
put it on your foot? Then I feel like we can consider it a shoe. So put the spicy stuff on your foot and then lick it off your foot.
Ew, what the fuck, Rubby?
Do it on camera so Rainer can watch.
I'm not doing that if it's not a fucking OnlyFans. Come on, man. That's definitely heavily monetized if we're doing that.
He made $150,000 just 6 months ago.
True.
Shit.
Name your price.
Name your price.
I thought that was going to the Lambo though.
No, I think that's if we win Katowice, right?
Ah, okay.
This is why I don't make bets. I did make a bet actually. I got like 4 Dogecoin from feardragon, but I mostly don't make
Oh
bets.
yeah.
For a second, I thought you said Bitcoin, and I was like, holy shit.
No.
You're going to buy a fucking house.
I got like
Then I
$25
realized.
with a Dogecoin that I think at one point went up to like 70. And I didn't sell, so now it's worth like $2. It's
Mm.
cool, right? It's cool.
Mhm,
Coins
mhm.
are cool. I, for one, really am glad I had to listen to all the cryptocurrency talk for a straight year at all the
Oh
Sweden
my God.
events, so that I inevitably got tagged along with it and actually bought some of this useless shit.
And
I
now
think-
you can buy it on the stock market because of SEC news yesterday.
Oh,
Well, kind of. Anyway.
In fact, why don't we just start discussing cryptocurrency here on
Oh
this
my
podcast?
God.
We have 3 white men on a
What-
we have 3 men on a
What
podcast.
were your guys' top 5 cryptocurrencies of 2020? I'm leaving.
We have 3.
And with that.
Wait.
Top 5 sponsors of StarCraft 2. We
See,
had
here's the
4.
thing.
U.S. Air Force.
I can just walk away. This is ZombieGrub stream. She can't walk away.
She can
just
kill the stream.
cut the stream. So
That's true.
WTL, Clem got absolutely fucking robbed. He deserved that motherfucking MVP
Yeah, he
more
really
than
did.
anyone.
Yeah, 100%.
I wasn't watching intently, but I heard the stories and I watched a little bit, and I was really surprised that Young got it, right?
He went Ryung. So let's set the table a little bit here, right? So
Okay.
first of all, it is I want to make this clear from the very beginning. It is not Finals MVP because people were making the comparison of Iguodala and Kawhi Leonard in basketball. I don't give a fuck. It was playoffs MVP, not Finals. Playoffs, the whole fucking thing.
Okay.
We're not talking about practice. We talking about practice. We're not talking about the game. We're talking about practice. So first of all, it includes the entire fucking run of the playoffs. He goes 28-6 against the best players in all of StarCraft 2. Like, I don't know if there was a single player he didn't play, except for like his teammates, pretty much. And he had positive or even win rates against everyone, including some absolutely bonkers ass results, just absolutely insane shit. And then the finals come along, and he goes 1-1 versus Ryung, 1-1 versus Ryung again, and then Onside Gaming wins. And they're like, well, we gave the result to Onside Gaming's Ryung because, it has to go to the winner. And it's like, okay, cool. But rewind like 4 seasons ago, you gave it to Creator, even though his team didn't win. And it's like, it's actually fucking insane what they did. I am so unbelievably pissed that they robbed the greatest single team league performance any player has ever made in history. I'm sure someone's going to correct me, but I'm going to die on that hill. And they didn't give it to the player who had it because he didn't even go 1-3 versus Ryung or 0-4. If Ryung had 3-1, I would have given it to Ryung. But he went 2-2 and he still handed it off. It's a fucking team league. I'm just so pissed.
No, my favorite argument was it's like, well, it's a team league, therefore we should not go and reward if it's one player carrying a team, we shouldn't reward that because it should be about the team and one player doing a little bit better. It's like, it's literally called most valuable player. If one player carries if one player carries someone all the way, did I forget what most means? It's not like the 15% better. It's the most valuable player.
Yeah. And the only reason that Ryung was considered is because
Do I not know what words mean?
He beat God. and he didn't even beat him. He went even with him. He went 1-1, 1-1. Like, God, like, and I think that's really fucking cool what Ryung pulled off. It's fucking awesome. But Clem beat everyone, literally everyone. Like, and it's just the level of players that he defeated in the fashion he did it was unheard of.
Yeah, it seems pretty stupid. Like I don't know. I'm not really, part of it, but it seems like he should have won MVP. I do love this excuse in the Team Liquid thread, which is that Ryung needed the $700 more.
Yeah,
that's fair. That's
yeah.
true.
No, but it's funny. I was actually talking to one of the WTL people, and I'm like, yeah, it's ridiculous that they didn't win MVP. And I was told, well, yeah, but he got like the second most valuable player, and that's actually a more important award.
What?
Yeah, second place is always what people remember.
Yeah.
The SVP is the most, and the SVP was the bigger award. And I'm like, are you what?
Well, then you should have given it to Ryung since he had a better performance, apparently.
I know, right? Like,
This would be more convincing if I used my nerd voice. Actually.
It's such a good
And it's
one.
not even like you can make the argument like the SVP is worth more money, because that's also not true. Oh, my favorite bit of cope was someone was saying, well, it's not a good look if it's one player winning every award.
That's the
Do I
same.
need to say
though.
anything? Do I need to say anything?
Yeah.
It feels like the biggest robbery in like, in a long time. I really don't know how it could be justified, but that's just my thing. If it was finals MVP, I give it to Ryung. If he'd gone 3-1, I give it to Ryung. But given the context of what Clem achieved, like that shit's fucking crazy. Also, shout out to Raynor. He was one of the few players who managed to take a game off Clem during his Herculean run.
Yes, shout out to Raynor, who's also very active in chat right now. Not
I love how
spilling any
absolutely
secrets.
I love how
we've got some.
Her name
Bring Raynor
Also-
on. Hey, Raynor, what's your hot take?
Also, another spicy take is that Zerg is going to lose everything if the map pool goes back to balanced. Zerg is going to lose fucking everything if the patch doesn't revert.
I'm going to do the opposite of a Kanye West here. The Cyclone patch was the worst patch of all time. All time. Thank you.
That's like a Trump thing. That's a
Did
Trump
the
voice,
stream
not
just
a
get
Kanye.
canceled? Are we allowed to make Kanye references?
That was
still?
not at all like Trump. What the fuck is Trump would have been like, this is the worst. I have the best. I have the best everything. This is the worst. You know what else is the worst? America. But not because of what you think.
Trade that has ever happened in the
There you
history
go.
of cyclone trades. There are many people. I have very many smart people in I made cyclones and I won and I deserved it, and I just think that the military there was no airports during the Civil War, and I think it's very important that Sleepy Joe had cyclones.
We
Clem was
should not
robbed.
mention any popular culture, whatever, because we're gonna get a 5-minute Steadfast metaphor / voice.
His is so funny though. It's so good. But I love that you couldn't help but kind of go into like an almost like baby talk, Like there's like you were slipping a little bit.
I think that's part of it. I think that's the.
Oh,
that's,
that was
that's
good.
That's just the channeling. I went unconscious for a little bit there. I blacked out.
You can be really good. Sometimes you're not as good, but today has been rock solid.
Thank you. I practiced for this one. I trained.
I literally went to the desk and there was a video of Zach Brannigan talking about the killbots in Atlanta, and I was like, "Why is this up here?" And Steadfast had tried to look it up quickly enough so that he could mimic the whole speech about the killbots.
We did get it in the bar afterwards, and it was 10 out of 10. It was fantastic.
Oh, yeah, it was good.
I
Yeah.
say as someone who's never seen Futurama, but I'm sure it was on point.
Worse than Bruthlin and Faster or the Queen Range? Yeah, actually, because the Queen Range buff, no one really knew the consequences. There is a ripple effect. Like I actually don't remember what the balance thoughts were, but I can almost 100% tell you that they weren't as visceral as the Cyclone response. The community members, pros, the entire subreddit, just the general community really was like, why? No, why? No, why? No. I think back when the Queen was changed, people were like, interesting. And then only after a couple of months did we realize the consequences. But that's not really, my take wasn't spicy. I just, Cyclone
Sorry,
change.
I'm just laughing at Colaris's revelation that Rotterdam puts his desk notes in the web browser search bar, which is something
I forgot
also
about
do.
that. That's
What?
right. Literally, it'll be in the search bar. It'll be like, Clem 2-0'd Rainer in the last, GS, whatever. It's the search bar.
It's like, for those who don't know, we just have like these little computers and stuff at the desk. And
So
you
like
have
this.
Notepad. You have everything. You have everything else you can put this on. But he like opens up a tab in a web browser and puts all of his notes there.
That's I've done that. I like Roddy and I are confirmed to be the most boomer.
How do you not press enter immediately? That was a habit.
Well, if you press enter, then it's permanently saved. You could now it's just
That's
a Google
exactly
search.
it. It's
That's
permanently
true,
saved. You
actually.
can look at the history if you need to find it. Exactly.
Hitting enter is actually the same as saving the file.
Yeah.
That was
Oh
funny.
my god.
That was good. There must have been some other revelations, but that was a big one, honestly.
I do love that there was a B-Stream studio set up apparently for Gamers 8 that we just got to sit at home for. Or there was like a B-Stream room or something. Anyway.
I don't know if there was actually. I don't remember that. There are multiple rooms though, because they also did other esports, right? So there
Yeah.
probably was.
I don't know. I had Magneth who was doing the Arabic broadcast. He's like, Bayo, they have an entire room for you. Like, what's happening? Why? So I don't know. But anyway.
Interesting.
Interesting.
I think it's it, guys. I think we did it. Proper almost 4-hour broadcast recapping 2023 and then some. So thank you. CatZ actually stayed on much longer than he said he was going to be able to. So big shout out to CatZ. Thank you guys for coming on, telling some tales. I hope 2024 is better or just as good. Would be okay too. And that's it. Yeah, I'm not missing anything, right? Chat, did I miss anything?
Do you want me to take us out with the Zap Brannigan?
No.
No.
You get 2 voiceovers. That's it. Yes, I can't wait for the mysterious finals location to finally be announced for the global finals. No one knows what it's going to be. Constant mystery. I can't wait to figure out what's going to happen for the last half of this year.
That's going to be really interesting.
Yeah.
We don't know yet.
Yeah. Don't forget that. Well, we got really good news in October, whenever it was, that we had another tournament, more prize money, and an even bigger global finals. That is where our knowledge of our game ends, is with whatever is happening in the summer. So, once again, StarCraft 2 is looking down on the precipice or whatever and being like, well, do I jump off or do I keep going? And you know what? Every time we look down into that deep, 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 deep pit where Heroes of the Storm lies in the very bottom, we've managed not to jump in. We've been saved. ESL 3-year deal, Blizzard deciding to go for another year, ESL deciding we're good enough to hold on. An entire country
Microsoft-
wanting to, Microsoft could come in and save us.
Will they be the next one?
Yeah.
I just
Please,
want to
Daddy
point
Microsoft.
out, I have 3 Korean Terran cards. I need 2 more to unlock Exodia. And then I'll be unstoppable.
Do you have Clem?
Well,
I don't. That's
I
what
have
is that?
Clem.
Is that like Blue
But that's
Eyes
not a
White
Korean
Dragon or
Terran. That's
something?
Blue Eyes White Dragon.
is
Yeah,
is
yeah,
a
yeah.
Oh, you're
is
right,
a
you're right.
big Dave, is a big card worth is a big Korean Terran card worth 2 small Korean Terran cards?
Like a Maru can be made out of a
No,
Percival
like,
and
no. I have I have a bunny. I have the bunny card from.
oh,
Katowice
you mean
that's about
literally
this big.
physically? Okay,
Oh,
gotcha.
like a physical big one.
Yeah.
Mm.
Gotcha.
That would be like the head.
tiny
be the
little
head of
body and a
Exodia.
big head. That's so funny, actually, because it's like a thing in Korea that they really hate if that's like what you think that they look like. There is a mascot for Flash, or for KT, I should say. And then there is one for Flash, I guess. And it had a really big head because that's like what mascots do, right? Like a tiny body and a big head. And apparently he was kind of upset about it because they say he has a big head and he really doesn't like that. Very, very old story. I learned this like 10 years ago.
I feel like that's a good way to wrap up the show.
It is, yes. Some good old, you can make fun of Flash a lot nowadays since he got in trouble with crypto. It's free. It's free game, It's easy peasy. All right, guys. Thanks for joining. Thanks for watching, everyone. And we'll see you guys perhaps for a Katowice pre-show. Bye.